Today is Saturday, the 28th of July. 28th of July. Ashtavinshititamaha Dinankaha. This is the Vyakaranam class. Now we have only one class. So again, today is Saturday. Stiravasaraha Shanivasaraha Dinankaha Ashtavinshititamaha. Let's do Mangalacharanam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bhihata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Rasosmiyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhotame Bhorama Mabuddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane Shri Rama Nama Varanana Om Nama Iti Atha Shri Maheshwara Sutrani A I Un Ril Rik E Ong I Ouch Haya Varat Lan Nya Ma Ng Na Nam Jabang Ghadadash Jaba Ghadadash Kapha Cha 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 Tsav Kapai Sha Sha Sar Hal Iti Mahashra Sutrani. Okay. Last time we were studying the we finished up the Sananta Prakriya. And the last time we looked at the Yanganta Prakriya, how to form the frequentative and intensive forms, like in Bhagavad Gita, Leli Yase Grasamana Samantal. Now today I want to start with one small correction. I have put the note here. If you can go back for a minute to this sutram, which is 316, Man Vadha Dan Shanbhyo Dirghashchabhyasasya. Now the padacheda of this sutram, which I think I may not have mentioned in the class last time, is that it is Man Vadha Dan Shanbhya, which is straightforward. This is Panchami Bahuvachanam, because we are in the adhikara of dhatoho, dirghaha, then cha, abhyasasya. It is abhyasasya, not abhyasasya. What is abhyasasya? Abhyasasya is a tadhita prayogaha from abhyasa. Abhyasa sambandhi. So abhyasasya vikarasya. Some modification of the abhyasaha, which we get in this context to mean abhyasasya ikarasya, abhyasasya ikarasya. So just want to put a small note on this sutram, which we looked at last time. In Man Vadha Dan Shanbhyo Dirghashchabhyasasya, the padacheda of this sutram is Dirghaha cha abhyasasya. Abhyasasya is abhyasasya vikarasya. And so in this case it means abhyasasya ikarasya. If you look at the vritti, see, vritti combines all these into a simple sentence. As I said to you many times, when you read a sutram, always make it a point to read the vritti of the sutram also. Because the vritti converts the sutram. It demystifies the sutram for us. It makes it into a nice sentence. And they says and then you can go back and understand how the vritti came from. How did they arrive at this vritti? Everything in the vritti is also there in the text, but we have to understand how to interpret this text, how to get the anuvritti, etc. So the vritti said, Man pujayam badha bandhane dana khandane shanate jane etebhya sansyat. Then abhyasasya ikarasya dirghasya. Now how did they get this meaning of abhyasasya ikarasya? That is because it is abhyasasya in the sutram, and abhyasasya tadhita prayogaha. It means abhyasasya vikarasya. It becomes abhyasasya ikarasya. Anyway, so last time I did not make this point clearly in the class. I just want to go back and mention that. Okay, let us continue now. Now today we are going to look at another variation of the Yanganta, which is Yangluganta. Yangluganta. Now, before even starting this topic, I should mention that Yangluganta prayogaha ativiralaha. We are very rare in the language. In fact, the grammarians are not have different opinions. The grammarians don't agree completely on the use of Yangluganta. According to some grammarians, this should not be used in Bhashayam. Only very limited number of forms should be used. According to other grammarians, they may be used once in a while. So in any case, this Yangluganta prayogaha is not that common, but you should know something like Yangluk exists. Because if you see the operations taking place, particularly in the abhyasa, which we saw last time in detail, just to refresh your memory, the trademark of this young anta and also young luganta is these vishesha karyani, abhyasasya. So from here, from this guno young lukoha, which we looked at in detail last class, going all the way up to this one, ritascha. These are these very special operations in the abhyasa for a young anta prayoga. So that is what distinguishes this one. It stands out. Like in Bhagavad Gita, leliyase. You see the abhyasa, in the abhyasa, gunadesha has taken place. Generally speaking, gunadesha will not take place in the abhyasa for any other kind of abhyasa except that caused by young. Generally speaking. So that's how we know. Now, and these last two operations here, Rudrika Uchaluki and Ritascha, only for young look, which we'll be seeing today. Anyway, so connecting from last time, these rules from 7482 to 7492 prescribe very special operations in the Abhyas Bhagaha for young and also young look. Last two are only for young look. The remaining are for young as well as young look. So if you see these operations taking place, and for example, Jangamaha, it's kind of a common form in the language. Jangamaha is that which constantly moves, which is on the move, which is moving, moves repeatedly. Now that form, you see the Jangamaha, right? Jangamaha, you can see this Nuk Agama has taken place. Nugato no Nasikantasya. So you can see that this operation has taken place. The Nuk Agamaha, which we studied last time, Anunasika Dhatu is Gam. So, but Jangamaha, where is the young pratyaya there? Because there's no ya to be seen over there. So now you can understand, you can suspect that maybe, of course, Jangamaha is not a Tinganta Padam, doesn't matter, but still Jangama, the Dhatu Jangama has been formed. So, or I should say Dhatu Jangam has been formed. Jangam has been formed. The ya has taken look. So anyway, simple thing is that you see the operations, particularly in the Abhyasa, which you know are going to come when a young pratyaya is there, but the young pratyaya actually is not there to be seen. Then try to look for young look. So let's start this prakaranam. I want to start this one with a vartikam. Now this is a little bit out of place for today's class, but if we have to, I want to just mention this vartikam. Now why are we taking this vartikam? Because this introduces a pratyaya called acha. This is a pratyaya acha, not the pratyahara acha. Now why do we need this pratyaya ach? This ach pratyaya, which we're going to introduce now, is a krit pratyaya. This is the topic which you're going to be studying later on in the year. This is the krit prakaranam, means participles. Now we already know that the adhikar of kridating, it starts from 3193. From 3193 starts kridating. We have already seen this sutram, kridating, and we also know by the sutram that krit tadhita samasascha. When you add a krit pratyaya, we get a pratipadikam. We get a nominal stem. Now, right now we are not looking at nominal stems. We are still in the tinganta prakriya. Then why are we jumping to this pratyaya acha, which is a participle form, which is a participle which will generate a pratipadikam? The reason for that is that this young look depends on the pratyaya ach being there, among other things. So that is why we are jumping a little bit. So to consider this sutram over here, 31134, which we'll be looking at in great detail later on in the year. But for the time being, we are going to look at a vartikam under this sutram. Nandigrahipachadibhyo liu ninyachaha. It's a very important sutram. It is not today's main topic, but we will take a vartikam for that so we can understand the pratyaya ach, because young look is going to depend on that ach being there or not there. Okay, so that is why we are just briefly introducing this affix ach. We'll look at it in much more detail later on. So just don't worry if you don't understand it fully right now. But this vartikam simply says ajvidhi sarvadhatubhya. Very simple vartikam. This Sutram 31134, without going into all the details, introduces the pratyaya acha. This has three ganas there: Nandi, etc., Grahi, etc., and Pachadi, Pach, etc., Pach, etc. And there are three pratyas being introduced here: pratyaya Liu, Nini, and Acha, respectively. So Nandi, Nandyadibhya, you get the Liu. Similarly, the Grahyadi will take the Nini, and the Pachadi will take Acha. Take Ach pratyaya. Now, in which meaning is pratyaya being introduced? Always ask the question. Just because you got the pratyaya, you have to get the rupa siddhi. Always understand what is the meaning of this word. What meaning does affix convey? It is kind of obvious, but sometimes in the excitement of deriving the form, we lose sight of the fact what is the meaning. What is the meaning conveyed by this pratyaya? And there is a very important sutram which I have not put in the sutra doc today, because this is not today's main topic, but we will see it later on. It's a very, very simple, important sutram which says kartari krita. Any krit pratyaya, any participle as a default stands for kartari in the sense of the agent of the verb. So one who does that action, the doer of that action conveyed by the verb. So as a default, as a starting point, every krit pratyaya, of course there will be exceptions to this which we will see later on in the year, every krit pratyaya is used in the sense of the agent of the verb. So when we say that these three sets of dhatus, the Nandyadi, the Grahyadi, and the Pachadi, they take these three specific affixes, which is Liu, Nini, and Ach. Then by applying Kartari Krit 3467, we have to understand it is in the sense of the agent of the verb. And this sutram only says Pachadibhyo Ach, but the Vartikamna comes and says that Ach vidhi sarvadhatubhya, that following any dhatu, the pratyaya Ach may be used in the sense of the agent of that verb, the one who does that action. So this Vartikam says the affix Ach may be used after any verbal root, to denote the agent or the doer of the action. Let's take a quick example. Lo, this is Vartikam under 31134. Let's take a dhatu lui chedane. Lui chedane means to cut. So if you take this dhatu, anubandha, of course, halantyam tasya lopaha. You take the dhatu dhatu lu, and add the pratyaya yang to it. First, let's form a frequentative, the yanganta. Let's derive the yanganta dhatu first. Then to that dhatu we'll add the pratyaya acha. The pratyaya ach can come after any dhatu. Remember sanadyanta dhatavaha. So these affixes which are added from 315, gup, tij, kit, bhyasan, all the way up to 3132, they all get the dhatu sanya. The samudaya gets the dhatu sanya. Once we get so from this 315 gup, tij, kit, bhyasan, all the way to 3122, when we add this affix, we get 3132. We get a new dhatu is created, sadhita dhatu, derived dhatu. So these can also take the pratyaya ach. As long as dhatu sanya is there, that entity can take the pratyaya ach in the sense of the agent of the action. So let us first add the pratyaya liu, add the pratyaya yang to the dhatu lu and get the yanganta form. So this lu plus yang gets the dhatu sanya by sanadyanta dhatavaha. Okay. Now to this, let's add the pratyaya ach by the vartikam ach vidhi sarvadhatubhyaha to form the agent. So this will be someone who cuts. This is mean the one who cuts frequently or intensely. The one who cuts frequently or intensely, because we added the pratyaya yang in the sense of dhatu rekach valade kriya samabhihare, which we already saw in last time's class. Kriya samabhihare means that pavanaf punye vrisharthe cha jyotye, means someone does the action repeatedly or intensely. So now what we have is that when you have lu, yang, ach, this denotes the agent who is cutting frequently or intensely. And now let's look at the yang look. Why does no? So why did we introduce this pratyaya? Now we'll understand why. Look at the next sutram, yango chicha. Yango chicha. One thing in this class we emphasize is that we are jumping from to different sections of the Ashtadhyayi. Always keep a track of where we are going. See, just now we took a Vartikam from 3.1.134, the Adhikar of Kruda thing. Now we are jumping to 2.4.74, Yango Chicha. Now 2.4.74, this area is very well known to us, isn't it? Why is it very well known to us? Because we have already been using 3.4.72, which is Adipravrutibhya Shapaha, Shapluk we have been doing, correct? We also have been doing Jyotyadibhya Shluho, so on. So we have been using this section. We already also have studied the Gatistha, Gupa, Bhubhyasya Parasya Padeshu. So we know this is a section which talks about elision of a pratyaya, particularly the look elision. So we know exactly what to expect. So always keep a track of where in the Ashtadhyayi you are. Which is the Adhikara Sutram or the Anuvritti coming here. So from 2.4.58 starts this Anuvritti of look, which goes to Apada Samaptehe, up to the end of the Padaha, at the end of the, which is the end of the chapter. The Anuvritti of look goes down here. So this Sutram, which you know exactly what to expect, because we know Adipravrutibhya Shapaha Shapluk, we know Juhatyadibhya Shluho, so we know that we are going to expect something which is going to do the look elision. Pratyaya. It's a very simple sutram, Yango Chicha. Yango Chicha says that Yango Achi Pratyaya luksyat. When the Pratyaya Ach follows, then the young Pratyaya takes the look elision. No, whenever you hear the word luk shlu lup, remember 1161. Pratyayasya luk shlu lupaha. Pratyayasya luk shlu lupaha. So the entire Pratyaya takes the elision. You don't have to go to alone just and all these rules. So 1161, you should always recall 1161 when you have to do a look shlu or look elision. Pratyayasya luk shlu lupaha. And not alone jasya nicha. This sutra chatushtayam, this only applies for a lopaha. This alone jasya nicha ade parasya anekashi sarvasya. These four rules are only for lopaha, not for luk shlu lup. Luk shlu lup we have to use pratyayasya luk shlu lupaha. So the entire pratyaya is gone. So now when the affix ach follows, what's going to happen is that this entire pratyaya young is going to take the look elision. Not just the ending akara of young, but the entire pratyaya is going to take look elision. But there's something more in this sutram, and that is the cha. Yango chi cha. So it says that chakarat tam vinapi. So even without the ach pratyaya, bahulam luksyat, is that this young may take look variously, irregularly or variously, even when ach is not present. So when ach is present, the affix, don't forget this is the affix ach, not the pratyahara ach, but the affix ach, which we just introduced in the previous Vartikam. When the affix ach is introduced after yanganta dhatu, the young affix takes the look elision. But even when the ach affix is not there, sometimes irregularly, variously, this young will take look. So it will be anaimitikaha lopaha. Look. Anaimittikam. Anaimittikam means there is no nimittam for it. Naimittikam, anaimittikam. Which means that there is the anaimitikoyam look. This look is this removal takes place, which is this look vidhi is anaimitikaha. There is no reason for it, without any reason. So basically what you remember is that when the pratyaya ach is added to young and the dhatu, there will be young look, and even when it is not added, sometimes variously also there will be young look. So the affix young takes look elision when followed by the affix ach. The use of cha, so chakarat, in the sutram indicates that the affix young takes the look elision variously, even when not followed by affix ach. So right now we do have the affix ach. We have lu, young, ach. So what happens then? And before we go to that, let's look at a couple of notes over here. There is no change in meaning caused by this look elision of the affix young. There is no change in meaning. No change in meaning. So young and young look convey the same meaning. There is no change in meaning. because the sutram did not say the meaning changes to this or it just says that the young takes look. There's no change in the meaning. Secondly, which I already mentioned a few times, that the term ach used in the sutram yango chicha is the affix ach, not the pratyahara ach, not vowel, but it's the affix ach. And of course, which I also mentioned, that is by the paribhasha sutram pratyasya lukshlu lupaha, the entire affix young is added, not the ending letter or something like that. It is just the entire affix text. So what we had was, we had this lu young ach. Because ach has been added by yango chicha, the young affix is going to take the completely be elided by yango chicha pratyas lukshlu lupaha by 1161. So we get now lu ach. Anubandha lopaha halantyam tasya lopaha, we get lu plus a, lu plus a. Now what happens is that we want to use 619, which is what sanyango. We want to use sanyango, but the affix young is no longer there because young look has taken place. But pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam, pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. Whenever a pratyaya goes away, it leaves a lakshanam behind. So even though the pratyaya young is no longer present, it has left its mark behind. So this lu is a yanganta dhatu. Yanganta dhatu because of pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. Pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. Even though the young pratyaya has been removed, it still has left its mark behind. So lu, this lu is a yanganta dhatu. And therefore we can apply sanyango and do the dvitvam. So becomes lu. Then of course rasvaha. Always apply the general rules first. When you in the abhyasaha, the rasvaha, haladisheshaha, the kuhoshchuhu, as well as the urat, 7, 4, 59, 60, 62, 66, they should be applied first before going to the vishesha karyam. So we apply rasvaha. Rasvaha we apply, we get lu. And now we use guno yang lukoho. Now we go to the vishesha karyam, which we studied in detail in the previous class, which is we start from 7482. The ending ik letter of the abhyasaha takes lopaha, when followed by young or young looks. So 7482, guno yang lukoho. So now what we have is, we now get the form lo lu a, because this guno yang lukoho by iko guna vriddhi, only the ik letter will take. When Panini prescribes a guna vriddhi without giving the sthani, without giving the place of the operation, he means the ik letter only. And so in this case, the ik letter will take the gunadeshaha, and by alontyasya. Now we have to use alontyasya because this is a adeshaha. Guna vriddhi is an adeshaha. So therefore we have to take the ending letter, the ending ik letters. So the ending letter by alontyasya, and the ik letter by iko guna vriddhi. So the ending ik letter, which is the ukaraha, takes the gunadeshaha, adeng gunaha. So we have to use the okaraha, which is the closest substitute for the ukaraha. Because adeng gunaha. So the akaraha and the eng, the a or the ekara, okara have gunasanya. So since we are replacing a ukaraha, the closest substitute is the okaraha. So it becomes lo lu a. Now what happens is that at this point, this pratyaya ach has a sanya of ardhadhatukam. Because of tingshit sarvadhatukam, ardhadhatukam sheshaha. And it was prescribed in the adhikara of dhatoho. In the adhikara of dhatoho, so dhato iti vihitaha. Because remember, the ach was prescribed under 3.1.134. That's in the dhato adhikara, which runs all the way from 3.1.22 to the end of chapter 3. So now what about the gunadeshaha? What about now? Should we not be doing now sarvadhatuka ardhadhatuka yoho? Because this definitely is capable of doing gunadesha. What can stop that? Because remember, we have sarvadhatukam apit, but this pratyaya has sanya of ardhadhatukam. So there's nothing to stop the gunadesha here. But then comes the next sutram. It says na dhatu lopa ardhadhatuke. Na dhatu lopa ardhadhatuke. So look at the number 114. 114. Now we already have studied 113 and 115. In fact, now we have studied the first 5 rules of the Ashtadhyay, which is starting with Vriddhiradaich, Adeng Gunaha, Iko Guna Vriddhi, which we just used just now. Now we are looking at Na Dhatu Lopa Ardha Dhatu, and Kiniticha. Now we have been using kiniticha all the time, isn't it? Guna nishedha. When the pratyaya is kit or ignit, then the eglekshana vriddhi doesn't take place, which we have been using all the time, kiniticha. But so here we have been using, I think it's here kiniticha. But now we are going to be using the na dhatu lopa ardha dhatu ke. Dhatu lopa ardha dhatu ke. So what does this sutram say? In anuvritti of na goes from this sutram into kiniticha. So we know exactly what to expect. This is talking about, this is a nisheda sutram for the guna adesha, vriddhi adesha in place of ik letter. But nisheda, so we know what to expect. That we are going to be stopping the guna adesha, vriddhi adesha as the case may be, in the place of ik letter. Under what conditions? But in the case is dhatu, the padacheda is dhatu lope ardha dhatu ke. So when dhatvam shalopa nimitte ardha dhatu ke pare iko guna vriddhi nastaha. So the guna vriddhi adesha in place of ik letter does not take place if the pratyaya which is following has the sanya of ardha dhatukam, and it is also the nimittam, it is the cause for what? Dhatvam shalopaha. For eliding, for removing a part of the dhatu. Now, the pratyaya ach which has come, that was the nimittam for the young look, wasn't it? Because we applied yango chicha. So we do have pratyaya ach, which has sanya of ardhadhatukam sheshaha. It's also the nimittam for a dhatvam shalopaha, removing a part of the dhatu. So this pratyaya ach now cannot do the gunadesha. So one more time. Na dhatu lopa ardha dhatu ke padacheda is na dhatu lope ardha dhatu ke. So dhatvam shalopa nimitte ardha dhatu ke pare ikaha guna vriddhi nastaha. So the ik letter does not take the guna vriddhi adeshaha, guna atva vriddhi adeshaha when followed by a pratyaya which is sanya of ardha dhatukam and which is the nimittam for a dhatvam shalopaha. Dhatvam sham is part of the dhatu. So if that is the nimittam for eliding a part of the dhatu, for doing lopaha of a part of the dhatu, then such a ardhatuka pratyaya cannot do guna vriddhi adesha. In this case, based on the ach, we removed the young pratyaya. So because we had a yanganta dhatu and basanadhyanta dhatavaha, the young part was removed based on ach was the nimittam for that. So that same ach now cannot do a guna adesha. So basically this now stops the sarvadhatuka ardhaka yoho. So we now come with lo, lu, Now at this point iko and achi may want to come, but don't forget achishnu dhatu bhruvam, achishnu dhatu bhruvam, yuvor young vangau. So if when the ivarnaha or the uvarna of a dhatu is followed by a vowel, then it takes the yang or uvanga adesha respectively. Not so it will not take any other operation because achishta dhatu bhruvam. So don't forget our old rules now. We have got plenty of chance to practice these. Of course you'll get plenty of examples also. So achi, when the ach follows, then what happens? Shnu dhatu bhruvam. So dhatu. So the yuvor. So the ivarna uvarna of dhatu will take the yang or uvanga adesha. So we get the uvanga adesha, and uvanga adesha anubandha lopa is uva. It is anekala adesha. It has more than one letter. But remember that we have 4 rules, right? When you want to do any adesha, we have to first look at alontyasya, nichya, adef parasya, anekashis sarvasya. As for anekashis sarvasya, the entire dhatu would have been replaced, but then what happens is nichya. Only the ending letter. Remember this 6477 is in the angasya dhikara. It's in the angasya dhikara. So it's talking about an adesha or the angam. So and this adesha in this case is uvang. The uvang, remove the it letters first. It become, you get upadesha nasika it, and halantyam we get ukara vakara uva. That is anekala adesha. It has more than one letter. Therefore, by anekashis sarvasya, we are faced with the possibility of replacing the entire angam. but that does not happen because of nitcha. Anekala adesha. So nit adesha, an adesha which is the kavarga panchama varnaha, which is nakara as a nit, anekalapi, even if it's anekal, it takes place only alone sthane. So this nitcha is specifically designed to stop anekashi sarvasya in the case of those substitutions which have this kavarga panchama as an it. So right now we have uvang which has that. So we only replace the ending ukaraha, not the entire angam. And we get lol, uvang, then we do the anubandha lopaha, upadeshe janu nasika it, halantyam tasya lopaha, we get lo luva. Now lo luva is a pratipadikam because ach has the krit sanya, the kruta thing, so lo luva gets the pratipadika sanya, but krit samasascha. Then it decline like Rama Shabda in Pullinge, so become lo luvaha. So lo luvaha is someone, is the one who cuts intensely or repeatedly is lo luvaha, is lo luvaha. Now, one more time, let us start from the top. Is we introduce the pratyaya ach by this vartikam aj with this sarvadhatubhyaha. We look at it in more detail when we look at the participle forms. The reason we did that because Yango Chicha says when the pratyaya ach follows, the young takes look elision, young affix. But there's a cha in the sutra, means sometimes even without the ach prefix being there, we'll get young look variously. We'll come to that in the next example. And then when we added that, we did the abhyasa, the dvitvam, based on the fact of pratyaya lopi pratyaya lakshanam sanyangoho. We did all these operations, including the guno yang lukoho. And then we had the possibility of doing a gunadesha by sarvadhatukartakayoho, but that was stopped by na dhatu lopa adhatuke, because the ach was used is a nimittam for removing the young, so that ach could not do the gunadesha. Then we did the uvangadesha by chishtadhatu bravam your young uvangau. And then finally we got the pratipadika sanya where krit is samasashcha, because ach is a krit pratyaya. And then it is an adjective. It will decline like Rama Shabdaha in the Pullinge lo luvaha. Now let us look at a situation where without the affix ach being there also, we get an anaimittika lopaha, anaimittika look. So let us now look at the sutra. This is a Gana Sutram Charkari Tancha. In the Adadi Ganaha, of the Dhatu Patha, there is this Gana Sutram. Gana Sutram means it is, of course, it is a rule that we have to respect. Within the Gana Patha, there are also these small kind of rules which are given there, called Gana Sutram. Like we have studied the Ghatadayo Mitaha, right? The Ghatadis are myths and so on we have studied. So this Gana Sutram Charkaritam cha, it occurs towards the end of the Adadi Gana. The second last is right before the last dhatu. Now why is it not put at the very end? Because the last dhatu is the Atmane Bhasha, it's Atmane Padi dhatu. While Charkaritam cha is going to indicate that those dhatus which get the sanya charkaritam. Now charkaritam is an ancient name which is used for the yangluganta dhatavaha. Nam yangluganta dhatu nam prachina sanya. This is an old name before Panini's time for yangluganta. How did we get this name? Remember we have seen previously that whichever form the dhatu kru karane takes, that becomes a generic name for that class. For example, krit. The krit itself is a krit pratyaya. So the krit itself is a krit pratyaya because the krit is derived from dhatu kru. So that becomes a generic name for the entire class. So you take the dhatu kru, and then the form which comes from that becomes a name for those class of pratyayas. For example, later on in the year, we will go to study this pratyayas called krityaha, the potential participles. At that time also, we will see that the term kritya itself is a kritya. So this is the tradition before Panini, is that the kru dhatu is used in order to get a name for the class of those affixes. You derive the form from kru and that. So this charkaritam is derived in a complicated way from this dhatu kru. So that charkaritam is become a sanya, become a name for the yangluganta. So what this sutram is saying, this Gana Sutram is saying, is that the yangluganta dhatavaha are to be considered to belong in the Adadi Ganaha. Not only that, the fact that Charkaritam has been placed along with parasmaipada, parasmaipadi dhatavaha, it tells us that the parasmaipadam should be used for Yangluk dhatu. So this Gana Sutram provides, basically gives us two indications. First is that Yangluganta dhatu is to be considered to belong in the Adadiganaha. Second thing is that Parasmaipadam should be used because this Charkaritam cha could have been placed at the end of the Gana. Instead, it's placed one before because these dhatus over here prior to that are Parasmaipadinaha. The fact that Panini placed this along with them gives us the indication that Parasmaipadam should be used. So this Charkaritam cha is a Gana Sutram in the Adadiganaha. It is towards the end of the Ganaha. It is the second. It is before the last dhatu because the last dhatu is Atmanepadi. This is placed before that, and it tells us that these Yangluganta dhatavaha are to be considered to belong to the Adadi Ganaha, and they should also take the Parasyapadam affixes. Charkaritam is an old name for Yangluganta dhatavaha. So Charkaritam cha Yanglugantam api Adadikam. Adadikam is Tadita Prayoga from Adadi. So Adadikam means it belongs to the Adadi Ganaha. So let me say, so Adadikaha dhatuhu. Adadikaha means it belongs to the Adadi Ganaha. So Adadikam Parasmipadi cha ityarthaha. So Yanglugantam. So Yangluganta, it can be a dhatu only. What else can it be? Yangluganta dhatu. So a term ending in Yangluk, generally speaking, it belongs to the Adadi Ganaha, and it takes Parasmaipada Pratyaha. So dhatu ending in Yangluk is also considered to belong to the Adadi Ganaha and takes Parasmaipadam. So now Charkaritam is an ancient name for dhatu ending in Yangluk. Let's take a simple example or famous dhatu Bhu Sattayam. So Punah Vrisham Va Bhavati, Bo Bhaviti, Bo Bhoti. So we are going to derive a Yangluganta dhatu from the dhatu Bhu. So the meaning is the same. As I said to you, taking look does not change the meaning. So Punar Bhavati, Vrisham Va Bhavati. So Kriya Samabhihare Yang. So what we do is that, just like we did in the previous class, we start with the dhatu Bhu Sattayam, add the Pratyayam with the same sutram, no change there, 3122, Dhatu Re Kacho, Halade, He Kriya Samabhihare Yang, we add the affix Yang, but now we do the Anaimittika look, without the affix Ach being there, without any nimittam, because we just said that in this sutram Yango Chicha, this Cha, Chakarat, Vinapi, Tam Vinapi, Acham Vinapi, Bahulam Luksyat. So we now remove the Pratyaya Yang without the Ach being there, without any Nimittam being there, because Bahulam. Because one more thing to remember that is that the Anuvritti of Bahulam comes into Yango Chicha from the prior sutram, which is 2474 is Yango Chicha. Yango Chicha is 74, and the prior sutram is Bahulam Chandasi. So Bahulam Anuvritti is coming down. So the affix Yang will take the look elision variously, Bahulam. So now we remove the Yang even without the Ach Pratyaya being there. So by 2474 Yango Chicha, and the same thing Pratyaya looks to Lupaha, we remove the entire Yang affix. Again we do the Dvittam based on Sanyangoho with the help of Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam. Even though Yang has taken look, it has left a Lakshanam behind. It has left its mark behind. So Bhu is a Yanganta dhatu by Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam. So then we do Bhu by Sanyangoho with the help of Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam. Then again we do Hrasvaha Guno Yang Lukoho, which we just the same steps as we did when we derived Lolu. Same thing. We get Bhu, and then after that we get the Abhyase Charcha. We get Bhu. So these are the same steps that we came up here. We derived this Lolu the same way we derived Bhu, except we do Abhyase Charcha. In the Abhyasa Bhaga, the Mahaprana becomes Alpa Prana, Bhu. Now Bhu gets Dhatu Sanyaha, Sanadyanta Dhatavaha. Now one more thing is that, where is the Sanadyanta Dhatavaha requires a Pratyaya Yang to be there, but the Yang has taken look. So how can we use Sanadyanta Dhatavaha? We can still use it. Because the Paribhasha which says that Eka Desha Vikrutam Ananyavat, like a dog whose tail is cut. is still a dog. Is still a dog. So when you have the yanganta dhatu, the young, you can look at like a tail of a dog is the young. So if we cut the tail off, if you do young look, we don't call it a cat or something. It is still a dog. So that is the paribhasha, which says that something ekadesha vikritam, something which is deformed in one part, is still the same thing. It doesn't become a completely different thing. So like a dog without a tail is the dog. So same thing here, a yanganta dhatu, even though the young is taken look elision, it's like the tail of the dog, it still is a yanganta dhatu, and so therefore it's a dhatu sanya. Now, alternately, we can also say that the young look, dhatu terms ending in young look, which we just did the Ganasutram, get the dhatu sanya on the basis of the fact that the Ganasutram charkaritam cha is placed in the adadi ganaha. So if it's in the adadi ganaha, that's in the dhatu part, isn't it? So that also gives an indication that a yanglugantam gets the dhatu sanya. So we can look at either way. Either we can take the paribhasha ekadesha vikritam ananyavat and give the dhatu sanya based on that using sanadyanta dhatavaha, or we can simply say that charkaritam cha, which is an ancient name for the yanglugantam, is a Ganasutram placed in the adadi gana of the dhatu patha. So therefore, obviously, these terms also have to get the dhatu sanya. Otherwise, there's no point putting charkaritam cha in the dhatu patha, isn't it? So now, so either way, by this paribhasha ekadesha vikritam ananyavat, or by the fact that charkaritam cha is placed in dhatu patha in the adadi ganaha, this bobhu gets dhatu sanya. Now we can of course add the pratyaya lat vartamane lat anubandha lopaha, and we add the pratyaya tip, because charkaritam cha is placed in the along with other dhatus which are parasnipadinaha. So that gives the indication that the yangluganta dhatu should also take parasnipadam. So we add the pratyaya tip because we're looking at pratham purusha ekavachanam, and anubandha lope halantam tasya lopaha. Now we get kartari shap, because remember shap is only overruled if we have the dhatus in the dhatu patha belonging to the other ganas. But right now kartari shap is the gana vikaranaha. But the Ganasutram charkaritam just has told us that a dhatu which is yanglukanta dhatu, that is considered to belong to adadi ganaha. So then what can we do? We can do adipravrudibhya shapaha. So we bring in the shap pratyaha, just like for any other dhatu in the adadi ganaha. So we bring in the shap pratyaha by kartari shap, but then we apply adi pravruttibhya shapaha to shap look, because charkaritam cha, the Ganasutram, has told us that yanganta dhatavaha are adadikaha. They belong to the adadi ganaha. Okay, so because that's what Ganasutram says, yanglugantam apyadadikam. So we do shap look by adi pravruttibhya shapaha. Now we have mo bhuti. At this point, we have a Vaikalpika ida agamaha. Ida, look at the number here, 7394. We have already studied the ida agamaha. 7393, we have studied Bruva Eat. We have studied. We have also studied a sutram below that. So we have studied Bruva Eat. We also have studied Asisicho Prukte. We have studied many times. When we did the lung lakaraha, also in dhatu as, like a form like asit. We also have studied bruva eat in the form like abravit. So now we know exactly what to expect. We are expecting a eat agamaha. And then it's optionally yangova optionally. So this is exactly, or I should say it's very similar to the Eid Agamaha which we studied in 7393. 1793, we studied the Eid Agamaha in Bruva Eid. Okay, I'm sorry, it's in the last one. Bruva Eid, okay. Bruva Eid 7393, Bruva Eid is Bruvaha, Parasya, Haladehe Pitaha Sarvadhatukasya, Eid Syat. Anuvritti is coming down. Haladehe Pitaha Sarvadhatukasya. So Hali is coming here, Sarvadhatuka is coming here, Piti. So Piti Sarvadhatuke Hali. So same thing here. If you have a Yanganta Dhatu, which is followed by Pratyaya, which is sanya of Sarvadhatukam, which is haladi, beginning with a consonant, and which is a pit pratyaya, then what happens? We get va, yango va. It optionally takes the eat agamaha. So what do we have right now? We have bo bhuti. Bo bhuti. Now the pratyaya tip is sanya sarvadhatukam by ting shit sarvadhatukam. And secondly, it is a haladi pratyaya, this takaradi pratyaya. It's also a pit pratyaya, so the pratyaya is tip. So everything is satisfied. And here we have a dhatu bobhu, which by pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam is a yanganta dhatu. So all the conditions are satisfied. So you're going to get an optional eat agama or pratyaya. So Yangova says yanglugantat parasya haladehe pitaha sarvadhatukasya eat vasyat. Sarvadhatukasyed vasyat. And preceded by a verbal root ending in the affix yang, which has taken the look elision. A sarvadhatuka pratyaya, which is haladihi, beginning with a consonant, and is a pit, optionally takes the augment eat, because this one has va in the sutra. Now, why do we say only young look? Sutra didn't say young look. Sutra says yangova. Didn't say young lukova. It says yangova. Then how do we take it? Why does the vritti only say young look gantat? Because remember, when we have a yanganta dhatu with no look elision, then because the young is a nit, which is a kavarika panchama ngakara as an it, therefore by anudatta nita atmanipadam, only atmanipadam may be used after yanganta dhatu. And there is no atmanipada pratyaya, which is haladi pit sarvadhatukam. Because all of those, there is no pit pratyaya, haladi pit pratyaya in atmanipadam. You understand? So one more time. I put a note over here. This sutram cannot apply when there is no look elision of young. Because in that case, only atmanipadam may be used because of midantatvat. Midantatvat atmanipadam, because the young is a nit. So only atmanipadam may be used, and there is no atmanipadam affix, which is haladi pit sarvadhatukam. Haladi pit sarvadhatukam. So that is the reason why, we don't have a haladi pit sarvadhatukam in atmanipadam. So that is why the vritti only says yang luk gantat. Even though sutram is available for after yanganta dhatu as well as yang luk ganta dhatu. Yang luk ganta dhatu is also considered yanganta because of pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. But when it is young without the look, then only atmanipadam may be used because of anudatta gnita atmanipadam 1.3.12. And in that case, we will never get a haladi pis sarvadhatukam. So that is why this sutram has no application in the case of yanganta dhatu. So we only have to use a yangluganta dhatu. Yangluganta dhatu takes parasyapadam in karti prayogaha because of charkaritam cha. Remember, this parasyapadam atmanipadam is only kartari. If it's in the passive you can only use atmanipadam because of bhavakarmanoho. So whenever we talk about atmanipadam, parasyapadam, the question of deciding, it is only kartari. In karmani or bhave, we have to use atmanipadam only by 1.3.13 bhavakarmanoho. So we are talking about kartri prayogaha. So by charkaritam cha in kartri prayogaha, the yangluganta takes parasyapadam. In fact, this is a very important point, that yanganta dhatu takes atmanipadam, while yangluganta dhatu takes parasmapadam. So it's very, very important. So it's a very easy way of spotting a young look also. If atmanipadam has not been used, it cannot be a yanganta dhatu which has not taken look, because that will require atmanipadam to be used. A yangluganta will take parasyapadam kartari. So anyway, so this sutram yangova, even though sutram does not say yanglukova, because we just discussed that a yanganta dhatu can only take atmanipadam kartari, and in atmanipadam there is no haladi pis sarvadhatukam sarvadhatika pratyaya. So this sutram only applies yanglugantat parasya haladi pitaha sarvadhatuka seed vasyat. So now what do we have? We have bhu plus ti. So this eid is taken optionally because of yango va. Okay, so bhu plus ti will take the eid agama optionally. In the case where the id agama is taken, idagama pakshe, we get bobhu eat ti by yangova adyantau takitau Anubandha. Lopaha halantam tasya. Lopaha we got bo, bhu, iti. And now what happens is that we want to do the gunadesha. The gunadesha by sarvadhatuka arthakayoho. But now remember this iti has a sanya of sarvadhatukam. So don't even think of this one. This nadhatu, lopa, ardhatuke. There's no chance of that at all. Because the iti doesn't have sanya of ardhatukam begin with. Secondly, that iti was not a nimittam for doing the young look. The young look was anamitika look. So this sutram 114, the dhatu lopa ardhatuke, which we used in the case when ach pratyaya was following, that has no possibility of applying here. Because here we have the pratyaya tip, which is sanya of sarvadhatukam. Not only that, the tip was not really a nimittam for the young look at all. So now we have to deal with sarvadhatuka, ardhatuka. Yo, we have to apply that. But then how about the sutram bhusuvos tangi, bhusuvos tingi? Bhusuvos tingi we have seen 7388. 7388, shouldn't that come into play over here? We do have the dhatu bhu. He says bhusu etayoho, sarvadhatuke tingi pare, guno na. So when we have a sarvadhatuka pratyaya, a ting pratyaya, described by 3478, Tiptajji, etc. Then that cannot, if it immediately follows the dhatu, bhu or su, that cannot do a gunadesha. For example, when we derived in the lung lakara, when we did the form abhut, we did not do gunadesha, didn't we? Now, should not the same thing apply here? Because we have bo, bhu plus iti. So we have pratyaha, which is sanya of sarvadhatukam. It's immediately following bhu. Now, why should that gunadesha not be stopped by bhusuvos tingi? The reason for that is that Panini has given a ready-made form bo bhutu in the sutram 7465. It's a long sutram which will not go into details. But in that, Panini has given some nipatanam, has done nipatanam. He has given ready-made forms without deriving them. Some special forms Panini has given. And in that, he gives the form bo bhutu, which is to be used only chandasi. Now, bo bhutu, gunadesha has not been done there. That's the speciality. So Panini is saying, don't do gunadesha in the form bo bhutu, but only in chandasi, only in the Vedas. The fact that Panini is telling us that, the fact that Panini has to specially give a form bo bhutu to be used only in the Vedas, tells us that in classical Sanskrit, we should do the gunadesha for bobhu, isn't it? Because if gunadesha was not to be done anyway, then what's the point of Panini specially giving the form bobhutu, isn't it? Excuse me for a second. You understand what I'm saying? Is that if we have a situation right now where we are at bo, bhu, iti. We're trying to decide if we do gunadesha or not. Now, if gunadesha was not to be done at all, if bhusuvos tangi was to be used, then there was no need for Panini to specifically give a form bobhutu, just to give a special form where gunadesha is not to be done in the Vedas. If there was no gunadesha to be done anyway, what's the point of giving a special form? So this is a jnapakam. This tells us that Panini intends the gunadesha to be done normally. But in the Vedas, in this special form, doesn't want it to be done. So this becomes a jnapakam. The fact that Panini has given bobhutu as a special form tells us that otherwise, barring this special form in the Vedas, the gunadesha should be done. Otherwise, there's no point giving a special form. It's already available, isn't it? So we use that jnapakam. The fact that Panini has given bobhutu as a special form, as a nipatanam, special form to be used chandasi in the Vedas, only tells us that this bhusuvos tangi does not apply in the case of a young look form used in classical Sanskrit. So that's the way it is. So bobhutu is a nipatanam. It's a special form given by Panini which doesn't take gunadesha in the Vedas. So that tells us that otherwise gunadesha would have been applicable. So that's why we understand that the bhusuvos tingi does not apply bhashayam for in the case of a young look. So we bypass bhusuvos tingi When we do the gunadesha by sarvadhatukartakayoho, we get bo bho iti and bo bhaviti by echo yavayavaha. Now when the id agama is not taken, because yango va is optional, then we get just bo bhoti, because we do the same steps, bo bhuti, and we get bo bhoti. Okay, so one more time, what we started with this applying the yang pratyaha by dhatore kacho halade kriya samubhihare yang, the same sutram, no change in meaning. We applied the yango chicha because the chakarat, because yango chicha, the chart is that even without the ach being there, we can have a naimittika look of the yang. We did all the abhyasa karyam, we got bobhu. Added pratyaya lat because bobhu gets the dhatu sanya, because of the fact that eka desha vikritam ananyavat, even though the young is not there, it's like a dog without its tail, it is still a dog. Or the fact that charkaritam has been facing the dhatu pata tells us the yanglugantam gets dhatu sanya. And we have to use parasyapadam only, because charkaritam is placed in the section of parasyapadam in the dhatu pata of yadadiganaha. And but charkaritam tells us that this is in the yadadiganaha, so we used adipraprutibhya shapa to do shapluk. And then we got the optional id agamaha by yangova halade haladehe pitaha sarvadhatukasya id vasya yanglugantat. And this sutram can only apply in yangluk, not in yang, because when you have yang we use atmanepadam, and then there is no case of haladi pis sarvadhatukam. And when we did the id agamaha, then we came with the question, can we do the gunadesha for bhu? Because of bhu was stingy, should have stopped it. But the fact that Panini has given a special form, bhutu, tells us that otherwise in Bhashayam we should do the gunadesha, we should bypass bhu was stingy with the gunadesha, echo yavayava, we got bo bhaviti. When we don't take the id agama, we get bo bhoti. Now let's look at the bahuvachanam on this, the same dhatu, punapunam vrisham va bhavanti, bo bhuvati. Let's look at the bahuvachanam. Everything is the same, except we are going to look at the bahuvachanam. Now, when we add the pratyaya lat, we already derived bobhu the same way we derived bobhu before. Then we add lat anubandha lopaha, and again parasyapadam only may be used because charkaritam cha is in the parasyapada section of the adadiganaha, and we use the pratyaya ji, pratham purusha bahuvachanam. We get the shap pratyaya kartri shap, but because charkaritam cha is placed in the adadiganaha, we do shapluk by adiprabhrutibhya shapaha. And now what happens is that Jontaha wants to come. But don't forget our sutram, which is adabhyastat. That's why we're deriving this from in bahuvachanam. In bahuvachanam, ubhyabhyastam, when we do this dvittam in the 6th chapter of the Ashtadhyayi, from 6.1.1, ekacho de prathamasya, up to 6.1.12, the dvittam which is done, ubhyabhyastam, the two terms together, the duplicated term, it gets the abhyasta sanya. And when we have this jakaraha pratyaha, the jakaraha pratyaha falling in abhyastam, then we don't get jontaha, we have to use adabhyastat. We get, instead of getting the anta adesha, we get the at adesha, adabhyastat. So that's why we derived this plural form, because we want to remind ourselves of adabhyastat. So we don't get anti, we get ati, because bobhu has the abhyasta sanya by ubhyabhyastam, because we applied 6.19 to derive bobhu. So therefore bobhu gets the abhyasta sanya by 6.15. So then the apavada sutram adabhyastat overrules jontaha utsargaha. And the same thing now remember, this ati is apit sarvadhatukam, it cannot do any gunadeshaha. And not only that, this ati is not a haladi pratyaha, so there's no question of applying the yangova. That's only when you have a haladi pisarvadhatukam. This ati, of course, is not haladi. There's no question. There's no gunadesha, there is no idagamaha. So we just do the uvangadesha, achishna dhatu bhravam. You or young uvanga, because this ukara for dhatuhu, it is a uvarnanta dhatuhu. The angam is a uvarnanta dhatuhu. The uvangadesha, again by nicha, it only takes the place of the last letter, which is the ukaraha. So that overrules the anekalshit sarvasya. So the uvangadesha replaces only the ending ukaraha, and we get the, of course, then after anubandha lopaha upadesha janana saketalantyam tasya lopaha, we get bo, bha, uva, ti, so ati, so bo, bhuvati. So the same dhatu bo, bhu, we're just deriving the Pratham Purusha Bahuvachanam, lat, Pratham Purusha Bahuvachanam. This is all Karti program only we're talking about. When we bring in the Pratyaya Jhi, of course we do Shapluk because of Charkaritam Cha. And so Adadi Ganha, so we get Adhiprapratibhya Shapaha. And then we remind ourselves of the Adabhyastat instead of getting Joantaha, we get the At Adeshaha because Bobu is Abhyasta Sanya because we use 619 Sangyangoho. So by 615 Ubhyabhyastam, we get the Abhyasta Sanya. Then we do the Uvangadesha because Ati is Apis Sarvahatu can become Nitvat. There's no question of Gunadesha. It's not Haladi anyway. It's not Pit, it's not Haladi. So there's no question of Agama either. So Yangova doesn't apply. We just do the Uvanga Adesha and we get Bo Bhagati. Okay. Now let's look at last two operations for Yang Look. Remember, we have been reminding ourselves, we have the beginning when we started Yang Look itself, I said that the speciality of Yang and Yang Look are these very special operations, very strange operation which takes place in the Abhyas Bhaga. From Guno Yang Lukoho up to Ritascha. The last two are only for Yang Look. The remaining are for Yang as well as Yang Look. So let's look at these last two. They're very simple, straightforward. So 7491, 7492 discuss special operations. Only in the case of Yang Look. The 7482 to 7490 are for Yang as well as Yang Look. 91, 92 are only for Yang Look. Let's see what they are. Nothing very complicated. It says Rugrikau Chalukhi, which means that Rudapadasya. Remember the prior sutram 7490 which we studied in the last class? Rigrudapadasya. So he's talking about a Rudapada Angam which has the Upadha of a Rukaraha. The penultimate is the Rukaraha. That was prescribed the Rik Agamaha which went for Yang Look we had for Yanganta Dhatu. This we studied last time. 7490 we studied in the class last time. So this one is 7491, but 7491 only applies in the case of Yang Look. So when you did the form, we did the Dhatu Vrit last time. Vari Vrityate, we did that form Vari Vrityate. So that was when we use this sutram Rigrudapadasya. Now 7491 is the Anantaram. Next sutram which says that Rugrikau Cha Luki. So the same thing, Rudapadasya Dhatoho Abhyasasya Ruk Rik Rik, because Cha means the Agamaha, the augments Ruk and Rik come in addition. In addition to what? Anuvritti of Rik is coming from the prior sutram. So not only Ruk and Rik, but in addition to Rik. So I'm sorry, so it's not only Rik, but also Ruk and Rik. So Ruk, Rik, Cha, Luki. Cha means Rikapi. So when you have a Dhatu, which is Rudapadha, which is the penultimate Rikaraha, and if you have Yangluganta Prayogaha, then the Abhyasa Bhagaha will take three possible augments, which is Ruk, Rik, and also Rik, Cha. So Cha means Ruk, Rik also, in addition to Rik. So Rudapadasya Dhator Abhyasasya Ruk, Rik, Rik, Ete Agamaha Syoho Yang Luki. So when followed by a Luk elided affix Yang, reduplicate Abhyasa of verbal root. The penultimate Rakaraha takes the augments Ruk and Rik, also Cha, in addition to Rik, which is coming from the prior sutram. Let's take an example. Punar Bhrisham va vartate varvarti varivarti varivarti. So let us look at the same dhatu which we used last time to get varivrityate. That was the Yanganta. The same dhatu, Vrutu Vartane. Let's look at the Yangluganta form. So what will happen here? We take the dhatu Vrit, add the same affix Yang, Bradhatu Rekacho Haladehe Kriya Samubhihare Yang. But now we do the Anaimittika look. Without the Ach affix being there, we do the Bahulam look. So we get Vrit. Now Pratyay looks to Lupaha, the entire Yang is gone. And now we do the Abhyasa, we do the Dvitam Sanyangoho based on the fact Pratyay Lope Pratyay Lakshanam. This is also Yanganta. So even though yang is gone, lakshanam is left behind, so we get vrit, vrit. And then we do the first samanya karyam, which is the rita ut. Sorry, urat. Urat 746, urat. So this ruvarna of the abhyasaha takes the akaradeshaha, uran raparaha, become vart, vrit. And then we do haladisheshaha, va vrit, va vrit, va vrit. Now this sutram describes three possible augments, ruk, rik, and rik. Let's first take the place where the ruk augment is used. So we get now, by of course, adyantau takitau, and then so it goes, the ruk augment goes at the end of the abhyasa. We get va, ruk, vrit by ruk rikau chalukhi, adyantau takitau. Now just a reminder of one thing is that the 7483 dirgho kitaha does not apply here because we applied the augment ruk, which is a kit augment. So dirgho kitaha does not apply here anymore because the augment ruk has been used. So we now get anubandha lopaha bhalantyam. Now the important thing is the ukara of ruk is uchcharanartha. Ukara is uchcharanartha. So that also goes away. So we get var vrit bhalantyam tasya lopaha, and the ukara of ruk is uchcharanartha. So we get var vrit. Var vrit. Now that's one form. When we use the ruk agamaha, halantyam, the kakara goes away, tasya lopaha, the ukara is uchcharanartha, so only the repa remains. Now the ruk is optional. The rik also may be used, so the same steps again. We had vavrit, but we use the rik agamaha adyanta takito. It goes towards the end of the abhyasaha. Now again the same thing. We cannot use dirgho kitaha. We cannot do dirgha desha. We cannot make it va, because the fact that we have applied a kit agamaha. So dirgho akitaha. So dirgho kitaha cannot be used. So we get vari vrit after anubandha lopa halantam tasya lopaha. This ikara is not uchcharanartha. The ukara in ruk is uchcharanartha. You be careful over here. So it becomes the ikara in rik is not uchcharanartha. So we get vari vrit. Similarly, when you use the rik agamaha, we get vari vrit. So there is three forms. We get var vrit when we apply the ruk agamaha, the ukara is uchcharanartha. We get vari vrit when you get the rik agamaha, and vari vrit when you get the rik agamaha. So so var vrit, vari vrit or vari vrit gets the dhatu sanya. And then with the help of the paribhasha ekadesh vikatamananyavat, we get the dhatu sanya, or by charkaritam cha in the dhatu word, which we just talked about before, we get the dhatu sanya either way for this varvrit, varivrit or varivrit gets the dhatu sanya. And then we bring the pratyaya lat, anubandha lope la, then we have to use prasyapadam because of charkaritam cha is placed in the prasyapada bhagaha of the dhatu pataha in the adadi ganaha. So prasyapadam needs to be. So the most important thing that yang lugantam can take only prasyapadam in kartari. Yang antam takes atmanipadam. Nidantatvat atmanipadam for yang. But yang look only prasyapadam is taken kartari. It's very important. And then halantam tasya lopaha, then we use kartari shap. Now as per the Ganasutam charkaritam cha, the yang luganta dhatu is considered to belong to the adadi ganaha, so we get the adiprapratibhya shapaha. Varvrit, varivrit, varivritti. Now this tip again is a pit pratyaya. It is haladi sarvadhatuka pratyaya. So you're going to get the id agama optionally by yangova. By yangova, we're going to get the id agama optionally by yangova. So let's take in the first case. Let us take the id pakshe, id abhava pakshe. When there's no id agama, correct. When there's no id agama, id abhava pakshe, then we just do the puganta laghupadasya cha. We get vart, varivart or varivart. So this upadha rukara takes the gunadesha uran raparaha. So this basically this becomes vart. So varvart, varivart or varivart. And then we get var, so that gives us varvarti, varivarti or varivarti. Now let's don't forget our sandhi karya because of jharo jhari savarne. Towards the end of the ashtadhyay, we have studied the sutram jharo jhari savarne. 8465. If you have a jar followed by savarna jar, and if there is a hull preceding, so basically you have a hull, any consonant, followed by a jar. Jar means jabai, up to the sha, sir. So up to there. So from, if you have a hull, a consonant, which is coming from halaha, from the Paraya Sutram, followed by a jar, followed by a savarna jar, then that middle jar takes pakshika lopaha. So jaro jari savarne. Jaro jari savarne is the sutram. So by that, do we have that right now? Let's say 8465. So this gives a chance to practice our old rules. I think 8465 should be here. Maybe it's the next one. 8465. Jaro jari savarne. Here it is. Halah parasya. Jaraha va lopaha. Savarne jari. Savarne jari. Jaro jari savarna. So if you want to refresh your memory, go back and look at 8465. What do we have here? We have the repha, right? Followed by a takara, followed by another takara. Remember, every letter is savarna with itself. It's kind of obvious, but every letter is savarna with itself. So we have repha, which is a hull, followed by takara, which is a jar, followed by the same takara, which is a same jar letter. So we have hull, repha, followed by jar, takara, followed by savarna jar, which is takara again. So what happens is that we get pakshika lopaha of this purva takarasya. The first takara takes pakshika lopaha. We get varvarti, varivati, or varivarti. Now, when you talk about the idagamaha pakshe, then what happens? We get the idagamaha adyanta utakito yangova. Yangova. Again we do. Now the gunadesha is stopped here. Also interesting. See how we get to practice all these old rules now. By 7387. 7387. The gunadesha is stopped by 7387. Let's not forget that rule now. 7387. Nabhyastasya chi piti sarvadhatuke. Right before the, right below the puganta laghupatasya cha. Right below puganta laghupatasya cha, we have this system which says that nabhyastasya chi piti sarvadhatuke is that if you have an angam, which is the abhyasta sanya. Now we do have the abhyasta sanya by ubhe abhyastam in this case, because this varvrit or varivrit cuts the abhyasta sanya because of ubhe abhyastam. Because when you apply sanyangoho 619, then the duplicated term got the abhyasta sanya by 619. Then following an abhyasta mangam, so for in place of, there is Lagupata guno nasyat. Lagupata guno nasyat. There is no gunadesha in place of a penultimate lagu letter of a abhyastam. When followed by what? A ajadi sarvadhatuka pratyaya, which is pit. Ajadi piti sarvadhatuke. So achipiti sarvadhatuke. So what do we have here? So 7387. Nisheda sutram for 73 is only if it's ajadi. So in the prior case when there was no idagamaha, it was not ajadi. We had only tip, but now we have iti. It's ajadi pit sarvadhatukam because of things is sarvadhatukam, and of course tip is a sakshat pit. It's ajadi pit sarvadhatukam, and we have an abhyastam angam. So this ajadi pit sarvadhatuka pratyaya cannot do puganta lagupatasya cha. So then we just get varvrtiti, varivrtiti, or varivrititi. The three forms. Okay, so one more time. This sutram, which is 7491, it only applies in the case of young look. It only applies in the case of a dhatu, which is penultimate rakaraha, like vritta. It says that the abhyasa bhagaha of such a dhatu will take the augments ruk and rik in addition to rik. Now, when we went through the steps, we got the three forms, which is varvrit, varivrit, and varivrit. We did lat lakara when we brought in that. Then we did, of course, the parasya padam bhikcharkaritam cha. We also did shapluk bhikcharkaritam cha. This says that janluganta belongs to the adadi gana. So we use adiprapradibhya shapaha. And we got varvrit, varivrit plus ti. Now by yangova, because we have a haladi plus sarvadhatukam, we get the id agam optionally. When the idagama is not done, we did the gunadesha, with the pakshika lopa with jharo jhari savarne. We got three forms: varvarti, varivarti, varivarti, or varvarti, varivarti, and varivarti. So the takara takes lopa optionally by jharo jhari savarne. Now, when we did the idagamaha, we could not do gunadesha because of our sutram, which is 7387. It's a Nisheda sutram. Nabhyastasya chipiti sarvadhatuke. So we just did the idagama, no gunadesha. We got varvrititi, varivrititi, and varivrititi. So next sutram 7492 is just a similar thing, but this applies for rudanta dhatu. Remember, 7491 applied in the case for dhatu which is upadhas rukaraha. But 7492 also for young look only, but this now applies for a dhatu which ends in rukaraha. Rutascha. Same thing otherwise. Rudanta dhatu abhyasasya ruk rik rik ete agamaha syur young looki. So exactly the same thing as 7491. Same anuvritti coming down. But now the thing is that this is we are talking about rudanta dhatu, a dhatu ending in rukaraha. 7491 was dhatu ending upadhas rukaraha. So when followed by a look, elided young look, reduplicate the abhyasa bhagaha of a dhatu which is ends in the rukara, rudanta, ending rukara. So the abhyasa takes the augments ruk, rik, and rik. So we take like a dhatu kru. So this is rudanta dhatu, ending in the rasva rukara. So punar vrisham va karotis. So doing repeatedly or intensely. We go through the usual steps, take kru plus yang by the same sutram, dhato reka cho haladehe kriya samubhihare yang, and then we do the anamittika look, we remove the yang even when the ach is not there because anurutya bahulam is coming down, then pratyalo the pratyas looks to lupaha, the entire yang is gone. And then same thing we do the abhyasakaram sanyangoho with the help of pratyay lope pratyay lakshanam. Even though the yang has gone, it left the lakshanam behind. So we get kru, same thing, urat, uran raparaha, we get kru. So these are all common operations. These are the general operations, I should say. This is nothing special for young look. So we get urat, uran raparaha, then kuhosh chuhu, we get charkru, then haladisheshaha, chakru. Now this we apply the ruk optionally, we get cha, ruk, kru. Same thing here, the ukara for ruk is ucharnarthaha, the antya takara is an it balantyam tasya lopaha. So we get charkru. When we take the rik agamaha, the ikara is not ucharnarthaha, the kakara is an it balantyam, then tasya lopaha, we get charikru. When we take the rik agamaha, we get charikru. So we get three possible forms: charkru, charikru, and charikru. You get dhatu sanya either by ekadesha vikritam ananyavat or by the fact that the ganasutram charkritam in the dhatu pahata, the dhatu sanya, and we add the pratyaya lat, and then we get tip because of parasyapadam is used because charkaritam is placed in the parasyapada bhaga of the dhatu pahata. I didn't put all the steps again. We'll have to put in shap, and then because charkaritam cha we do adiprapratibhya shapaha shap look, and we do the gunadesha, and we get either charkarti, charikarti, charikarti, or optionally when we do the yangova idagamaha, we get charkariti, charikariti, and charikariti. So this is the idagama pakshe, and this is the idagama bhava pakshe. Derivation, nothing special, just the gunadesha. And that's all we do. Remember, let me remind you of one thing, that the 7387 only stops the puganta lagupatasya cha. Okay? This is Nishaya Sutra for puganta lagupatasya cha. In this case, we are not using puganta lagupatasya cha. We are using sarvadhatika ardhadhatika yoho. So now there's no question of using 7387 here. That sutram is only Nishaya Sutram for puganta lagupatasya cha, not for sarvadhatika ardhadhatika yoho. So don't make a mistake here thinking 7387 does not come into picture, because we are not using puganta lagupatasya cha in this case. Here we are using sarvadhatika ardhadhatika yoho, because we are doing the gunadesha for the ending rukara, not for the penultimate. So there's nothing complicated here. So idagama pakshe charkariti, charikariti, charikariti. Idabhava pakshe charkarti, charikarti, charikarti. So this sutram basically just extends 7491 to the case of a dhatu which ends in rukara. So that ends the yangluganta prakriya. Again, these are not very common dhatus, so please don't, I mean, it's good that you know that something like that exists, that yangluk can happen variously, irregularly, without any nimittam, even when ach is not there. Also yanglugantam by charkaritam cha belongs to the adadiganaha and only takes parasya padam. Okay, now we're going to a new topic, which is the last topic in this section of deriving sanadyanta dhatavaha. What's called denominatives. Denominatives is that we take a pratipadikam or a subantam and derive a dhatu from this. Coming like a full circle, isn't it? We take a dhatu, we derive a pratipadikam, we take the pratipadikam, so derive a new dhatu out of it. So this is what is called as a nama dhatu prakriya. It starts from this sutram 318. 318, which is this super atmanaha kyach, and goes all the way up to this sutram which we have, so this young. So just prior to the young, up to this one, 3121. So from 318 to 3121 is our next section, what's called namadhatavaha. Like in English, we say stop clowning around. Now clowning is you say he's clowning. So he acts like a clown. So same thing with a shenayate, he behaves like a hawk. Krishnati, he behaves like Krishna. Okay, so that is what. So in English also we have these where we use a pratipadikam or a subantam to create a verb. We use it like, so the word clown is not a verb, really, is it? When we say he's clowning, so that is behaving like a clown. So that similar thing is in English also. It's called namadhatavaha. So now how do we know we're starting a section of namadhatavaha? Because Pani specifically says supaha. Now we are look at the number 318. So there's a close connection with 317, but 317 had dhatoho. Dhatoho karmanaha samanakritika ichhayam va, with the pratyaya san was used. When you desire to do something yourself, sugantumichati, jigamishati, kartumichati, chikirshati. Now the same thing we have ichhayam, desiring. But it is not to be used after dhatu, after a prat subantam. When you're desiring something for yourself, like atmanaha putram ichhati putriyati. So this is now to be used. So now the first time we are using a subantam or a pratipadikam to create a dhatu. So the connection with 317 is definitely there, because we have the ichchartha, karmanaha, ichhayam, everything is there. But this is to be after supaha. So we can make that connection. So it says that ishi karmanaha. So following a subantam, which is the object of the desire. So somebody wants a son for himself, putriyati. So the object of desiring is the son. Eshituhu sambandhinaha. He wants to have a son for himself, not for somebody else. The desiring should be for yourself, for the oneself. Not you, if someone is desiring that someone else should have a son or whatever, that will not be a subject of this sutra. So this affix sketch is only used if it is desiring something for oneself. Subanta. So subanta, this is a new twist now. Subantat. Ichhayamarte kyach pratyo vasyat. Va means what? Pakshe vakyam. Right now let me tell you that is anuvritti of va. Goes all the way down. From here, from 317, all the way up to here. You know, Kriyas, this one, Samavihare, young. So all these which you are going to be seeing today, everything is va. Va means pakshe vakyam. You can also have a vakyam pakshe. So I won't repeat it over and over again. So one more time, anuvritti of va goes down from this dhatoho karmanaha samakritika ichhayam va all the way up to dhatore kacho haladehe kriya samabhihare yam. You can remove it like that. You can remember it like that. With just so from this dhatoho up to the next dhatoho, anuvritti of va goes down. So every one of these, which you're going to see today in between, they are going to be va. Means you can also have a sentence to express the same meaning. Okay. So the affix kyach is optionally employed in the sense of wishing after a padam, subantam padam, which ends in a suffix and denotes the object of one's own wish. So it cannot be desiring something for somebody else. Now the question comes, why is the kakara or chakara as an it in this affix kyach? Because we only need the year to be there. Why do we need to be kyach? The reason for that is that there are rules such as sutra which you're going to see later on today, which is nashkye. Something happens when the affix kya follows. Now there's also the affix kyang and kyash are also there. If we don't have the kakara as an it in kyach, when Panini says nashkye, then this affix would not have been included in that sutra. So the kakara is an it in kyach in order to facilitate what's called samanya grahanam. Samanya grahanam means that we want the kya to refer to not only the kyang and kyash, but also to this affix kyach. So both we can forget about kyash for a time being. We can just talk about kyang and kyach, which you're going to be studying today. So we want this kya in a sutram such as nashkye to refer to not only kyang but also kyach. In order to accomplish that, we have to add the kakara as an it in kyach. So the kakara as an it in kyach has been put by Panini in order to include this kyach also in the sutram such as nashkye. So otherwise, when Panini said kye, and if affix kyang is there, now this kyach will not be included, will it? Because if there was no kakara as an it, how can we include kyach when in nashkye? So the kakara as an it is if the affix kyach were not to have kakara as an it, then 1415 nashkye would have applied only to kyang and not to kyach. That would have been undesirable. Therefore, Panini puts the kakara as an it in kyach, so that now nashkye, that kya will refer to both kyang as well as kyach. The second question comes, then what about the cha as an it? Why has Panini used chakara as an it? Okay, I can understand why ka as an it, because we want the kya to refer to kyach also. But then what about the cha as an it? Okay, now look at it like this. If we did not have chakara as an it in kyach, what would have happened? The pratyaya would have been kya. Now, there is a paribhasha which says that ekanubandha grahane na vyanubandhakasya, which means that when we say kya, if there is a pratyaya which is exactly kya, and another pratyaya which is kyang, then when we say kya, or when Panini says kya, the kya will only include the pratyaya which is exactly kya, which has only one anubandha, and not the kyang, which has two anubandha, which has two markers. So one more time, this paribhasha says ekanubandha grahane, which means when you have a term like kya, which has only one anubandha, ka, and if you have an affix exactly kya, which has one anubandha only, only one it letter, only one marker, then exactly that kya only will be taken, and not another affix like kyang, which also is kya, but it has a second anubandha. You understand? So if we did not have chakara as an it in kyach, what would have happened is that by saying kya, only this kya would have included, not the kyang, because the kyang has two markers. This paribhasha is saying that if you have a match with a term which has only one marker, then don't take the other one which has two markers. So if we did not have chakara as an it in kyach, then by saying kya, only this kya would have come, not the kyang. But we want both to come. So therefore Panini says, okay, we'll add the chakara as an it in kyach in order not to spoil the samanya grahanam. We want to keep the samanya grahanam intact. So that is why it says that if kyach were not to have chakara as an it would have been just kya, and not as per the paribhasha ekanubandha grahane na dvyanubandhakasya. 1415 K would have applied only in the case of this affix and not kyang, because kyang has two it letters. So basically, we have to put the kyach on the same footing as the kyang. In short, we have to make the kyach like the kyang in terms of the anubandhas, so they will both be taken together. And Panini says kya. That's a rough, just very brief explanation of this. Because if we don't put the kurs in it, then when Panini says kya, we will not get kyach. If we put only the kurs in it, then when Panini says kya, only the kya will be taken, not the kyang. So we have to make this affix look like kyang. Then when we have kyach and kyang, and Panini says kya, both will be taken. Okay. So therefore Panini used chakara as an it in the affix kyach in order to enable 1415 to apply in both kyach and kyang. So the kakara as an it is for samanya grahanartham. The chakara as an it is for samanya vighatartham, not to spoil the samanya grahanam. First we have to get the samanya grahanam by making kakara as an it, to make it a kya. And then we don't want to leave it at just a kya, otherwise it will spoil the samanya grahanam. So we make it a kyach. Basically, we make it just like kyang. So when Panini says kya, both will be included. So that explains why the kakara. So think about it. I hope this has made sense to you. If not, we'll also have some examples. So the ka is an it in order to enable kyach to be included with kyang, and the cha is an it in order to not spoil the samanya grahanam, so that kyach and kyang will be on the same footing. They'll both be taken. We don't want to leave one with one marker and one with two markers. That's exactly the point, is that we don't want to leave kyach with only one marker, because that will then exclude the kyang coming in. We want to keep both with two markers, not one, because this paribhasha will come and say, if you have one with only one marker, only two markers, then only the one with one marker will be taken. We don't want that. We want both kyach and kyang to have two markers each, so that one will not preclude the other. One will not preclude the other. So that explains the chakara as an it. Okay. I already mentioned to you, anuvritti of vak goes from 317 to 3122. So in all these cases, when the kyach is not used, or when the sutram is not used, vakyam may be used. Okay. Let's look at udharanam atmanah putram ichhati putriyati. Now the namadhatu putriya derived as follows. We take putra plus by so just out, so that so just by this see our usual sutram 412. 412. We are shifting gears now. We have to first form the subantam padam by using the sutram, of course, which is 412. Su out just out chas and so on. So here we're talking about karmanaha. So we want a karma. So we use the pratyaya. We get putra plus Now to that subantam padam we add the affix kyacha. Supaha supa atmanaha kyacha. So desiring a son for oneself, we add the pratyaya kyach. Anubandha lopaha nashakpatadhyate halantyam tasya lopaha. Okay. Now this entire term putra ya gets a dhatu sanya by sanadyanta dhatavaha, because we are in the same section still, because sanadyanta dhatavaha starts from 315 to 3132. So 315 is, we are at 318 right now. Sanadyanta dhatavaha starts from 315. Okay. So we are now in 318. So this kyajantam gets a dhatu sanya. So now what happens is that we get a very important, very simple sutram. This is an extremely important sutram coming next, which you're going to be studying using all the time when we study samasas. Okay. Right now this sutram says supo dhatu pradipatikayoh. Look at the number 2471. Just today we studied this yango chicha. We've already studied, which is 2474. So we know exactly what to expect, because we just mentioned in the class today itself that from 2458 the anuvritti of look goes all the way down to the end of 24. Today we used this one. We used the yango chicha. Today we also used adi prabhudibhya shapaha. Now we have supo dhatu pradipatikayoho. Very, very simple, very, very important sutram. You will know the sutram very well. You're going to hear this in this class 1,000 times, this sutram. Why is it so important? What is it saying? It is saying that etor etayoho avayavasya supaha luk. a supratyaya which is inside a dhatu or a pratipadikam takes the look elision. One more time, very important sutram. A supratyaya which is inside a dhatu or inside a pratipadikam takes the look elision. Look elision means what? Pratyas looks to lupaha, the entire supratyaya is gone. Now how can a sup be inside a dhatu? We just saw that because we took a subantam, putra am. To that we are the pratyaya kyach to create a dhatu. So now this pratyaya am is inside the dhatu. So that's going to take the look elision by supo dhatu pratipadikayoho. Now when we studied compounds, when we do compounds, any samasaha, what happens? Because of 1, 2, 46, krit tadita samasascha, the samastam padam gets the pratipadika sanya. And inside a pratipadikam also, we cannot leave a sup behind. Because supo dhatu pratipadikayoho was very, very important sutram. It's called supluk. So right now we're talking about a dhatu. But when we do compounds, we'll inside a compound which gets the pratipadika sanya by 1, 2, 46, kritita samasascha. So similarly, inside a compound, we cannot leave the sup. We have to do the look elision. So inside a dhatu or inside a pratipadikam, the sup takes the look elision. Right now we're talking about a dhatu, but when we study compound, we look at the pratipadikam also. So when we had putra am plus ya, the samudaya got the dhatu sanya sanadyanta dhatavaha, and now we use supo dhatu pratipadikayo, what's called as supluk. So this sup goes away, and then pratyas looks to lupaha, the entire am goes away. Now we get the angakaryam. Look how we are jumping from one place to another in the ashtadhyayi. Now we are going to use the angakaryam kyachicha. So kyachicha says that, very simple sutram, that when the affix kyach follows also, the avarnantamangam takes the ikaradesha. Now, prior to this sutram, we have asyachvau. Just look at the number of this sutram. This sutram number is 7433 in the angasyadhikaraha. 7433 angasyadhikaraha. So here we have the e anuvrittikam of e coming down here, then asya chvau, and then kyachi. This is pratyaya chvi. We study later on in the year, maybe next year will come this is tadita pratyaya chvi. But we need the anuvritti of e. So the adesha is the ikaraha, asya, avarnantasya angasya, and then kyachicha. So even when kyach follows, not only chvi, but when kyach follows, the avarnantamangam takes the ikaradesha alontyasya. The ending avarna will take the ikaradesha. So avarnasya ihi, avarnantasyangasya ikaradesha kyachipare. So ikara is substituted in place of a final avarna because of alontyasya, means akara atva akara of an angam when formed by the affix kyach. So what do we have here? We have putra, which is akarantamangam formed by kyach. So the ending akara putra becomes a ikaraha. So we get kyachicha, alontyasya becomes putriya. Now putriya gets dhatu sanya. We already said that sanadyanta dhatavaha, this entire thing had got the dhatu sanya. Nothing special now. When we add the pratyaya lat, there's no nimittam to bring in atmanepadam, so we simply bring sheshat kartri parasyapadam, and we add, going through the usual steps, begin tip, anubandha lopaha, then shap, kartri shap, anubandha lopaha, shakvatadite, halantyam tasya lopaha, then atogune. Putriya plus third takes atogune becomes putriyati. There's not, once we get in the dhatu, there's nothing special really when we add the lat lakara, so there's nothing. Only thing here is that there's no nimittam for atmanepadam, so we just use sheshat kartri parasyapadam putriyati. So one more time, we are now starting a new section, which is deriving a dhatu from a subanta padam or a pratipadikam. And this sutram supatmana kyach says that ishi karmana eshituhu sambandhinaha subanta, because anuvritti is coming from 317, which we just start. But 317 was talking about dhatoho. This one is talking about supaha. Otherwise, the meaning is similar. This one is used when you desire something, when someone desires something for himself or herself, not for somebody else. So we took putra plus the karma. So we added first by so just etc. So the dvitiyantam, because that's the object of the desire. Then we add the pratyaya kyach, Anubandha Lopaha. And then after that we did Supo Dhatu Pratipadika Yoho. Inside a dhatu, a sup cannot stay, it has to take the look elision. This entire thing got the dhatu sanya vasanadhyanta dhatavaha. We did kechicha, we did the ikara desha putriya, and then we added let, make it putriyati. Now comes a sutram which we alluded to previously. That's this kechicha, sorry, nashke. Look at the number, which is 1415. We already know 1414 very well, don't we? We know the sutram Supting Antam Padam. Supting Antam Padam. Supting Antam Padam is very well known to us. Supting Antam Padam. Now this one is a Niyama Sutram for Supting Antam Padam. It's going to limit the authority of Supting Antam Padam. A Niyama Sutram does nothing else but to contract the authority of another Sutram. So what do we have? Nashkye, what it says is that Kyachi Kyangi, because of Kya. We all discussed in great detail today how the Kyach and Kyang are included when we talk about Kya. So Kya refers to both Kyach and Kyang. So Kyachi Kyangi cha Nantam eva padam nanyat. So if Kyach or Kyang follows, then only a Nakarantam will get the Padasanya and nothing else. So now we are Supting Antam Padam. Anything would have got the Padasanya, because when let's look at the derivation here. Let's say we understand this sutram. Atmanaha Rajanam Ichchati Rajiyati. Someone wants a king for himself, herself. Okay. Atmanaha Rajanam Ichchati. So we follow the same steps like in Putriyati. We take Rajan plus Okay, the Dityantam, because it's the object of the desire, so we add the Pratyaya to that by Saujas, etc. And we get the Pratyaya, Kyach, Supa Atmanaha, Kyach, same steps as in Putriyati, Anubandha Lopaha, Lashakpata Halantam Tasya Lopaha. Now Rajan, Kya, gets Dhatu Sanya, Sanadhyanta Dhatava, all the same steps as in Putriyati. And now what happens is that we do the Supo Dhatu Pratipadika Yoho Supluk. So the takes look because it is inside a dhatu. This entire thing is a dhatu sanya vasanadhyanta dhatavaha. Now Rajan gets the pada sanya by what? Supting Antam Padam with the help of pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. Because the pratyaya was added. That took the look elision by pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. That still has left its mark behind. So Rajan plus it became Rajan plus 0 because the took the look elision by Supo Dhatu Pratipadika Yoho. But still Rajan is considered to be a Subantam because of Pratyaya Lope Pratyaya Lakshanam by 1162. So Rajan should get the Padasanya all the time. But now Nashkye comes and says that if Kyach or Kyang is following, then only a Nakarantam will get the Padasanya, nothing else. So right now we are fine because Rajan ends in Nakaraha. But if it were anything else, in spite of Pratyaya Lope, Pratyaya Lakshanam Supting Antam Padam, Nashkye would have stopped it. So basically Nashkye limits the Padasanya. It limits the Padasanya. When the Pratyaya Kyach or Kyang is following, it limits the Padasanya to only those terms which end in Nakaraha. If the term following Kyach or Kyang does not end in a Nakaraha, it will not get the Padasanya. So this is the Niyama Sutram. One more time, this limits Supting Antam Padam. It says that when the F is Kyach or Kyang is following, the Padasanya will be limited to only those terms which end in Nakaraha, not to others. Normally by Supting Antam Padam, anything would have got the Padasanya, by Pratyaya Pratyaya Lakshanam. But now Nashkya says that unless it is Nakarantam, it will not get the Padasanya. Right now we are fine because we have Rajan. It's a Nakaraha. So Rajan gets the Padasanya. Now how does that help us? So in this case 1415 does not limit 1414 because Rajan is ending in a Nakaraha. Then we get Nalopah Pratipadikaantasya because now we have a Rajan, right, which has the Padasanya by Suptingantam Padam with the permission of Nashkye. And it's ending in a Nakaraha of a Pratipadikam. Pratipadikaantasya, Pratipadikanta Nakaraha. So then 827, we have studied this long time back. These are all the rules which we get a chance to practice now as we do that, which is Pratipadika Sanyakam Yat Padam. So Padam in this case Rajan, is also a Pratipadikam Rajan, and Tadantasya Nakarasya Lopasyat. So in this case, what do we have? We have a Rajan which got the Padasanya Suptinganta Padam with the permission of Nashke. This is also Pratipadikam. Then ending Nakara takes Lopaha. Raja plus Ya. Now we want to apply the Kyachicha. We want to do the Ikara Adesha. But we have to stop here because the Nakar Lopa was done in the Tripadi section of the Ashtadhyay, 8 to 7. So Purvatra Siddham 8 to 1 will come and say that no Paraya Sutram in the Ashtadhyay will be able to see the operation done by 8 to 7. But we want to use Kyachicha, which we just used. Now Kyachicha requires the Angam to end in a Avarnaha. But how can we use Kyachicha? Because the Nakara Lopa done by 8 to 7 should be Asiddha, as if it hasn't happened. Because of Purvatra Siddham 8 to 1. Purvatra Siddham says that in the Tripadi section, operation in the Tripadi section means 8 2, 8 3, 8 4. The last 3 quarters of the Ashtadhyay, those operations cannot be seen by any prior sutram. But we have a special sutram which also we have studied, which is the 822. 822 comes and says that the Nakar Lopaha will be Asiddha only when it comes to certain operations, and those are given in 822. So one more time, the Nakar Lopaha which was done for Rajan, that was done by 827. No lopa Pratipadikkantasya. Purvatra Siddham says that now no prior rule in the Ashtadhyayi, which means 7433 will not be able to see Nakar Lopaha. But 822 comes and says that the Nakar Lopaha is only a Siddha in the eyes of these 4 operations. Sup, Swara, Sanya, Tug, Vidishukriti. The Sutram 7433 does not belong to any of these 4 categories. So 7433 is Kyachicha. It's doing an Ikaradesha in place of a Avarnantamangam. That Ikaradesha is neither a Supvidhi, nor a Swaravidhi, nor a Sanya Vidhi, nor a Tuk. So therefore 822 is a Niyama Sutram for 821. It limits the authority of 821. We have used, if you want to practice 822, please go to the website and you'll be able to get a lot of examples on 822. This is not a new sutram for today. We're just using it again today. 822 limits the authority of 821 in the case of Nakar Lopa done by 827. It says that the Nakar Lopa done by 827 will remain Asiddha only for these 4 operations. But since 7433 is not performing any of these 4 operations, the Nakar Lopa becomes Siddha. So 7433 will see the Nakar Lopa in spite of 821, because 822 limits 821. So as per Purvatra Siddham, Nakar Lopa done by 827, no lopa Pratipadikkantasya in the prior step to arrive at Raja should not be visible to any prior in the Ashtadhyayi. But 822 limits authority of 821. Nakar Lopaha done by 827 is visible to 7433, because the operation prescribed by 7433 does not come under any of the categories in 822. So it is not a Sup, Swara, Sanya, Tuk, Vidhi. So now what happens is that we can do the Ikara Desha, because 87433 does see the Nakar Lopaha. It sees the Akarantamangam, Avarnantamangam, in this case Akarantamangam. So we get the Ikara Desha, become Rajiya. Once we get Rajiya, same thing, Rajiyati. There's nothing special, Rajiyati. Just add the Pratyaya, Lat, and bring in Tip and Shab, etc. So then Ato Gune. So Rajiyati. Now to understand the importance of Nashke, let's look at another example. Let's look at Atmanaha Tapaha Ichchati. Somebody wants tapas for himself or herself. Tapaha Ichchati. Now when we do all the same steps, tapas plus because that is the object of the desire. Then we add the pratyaya kyach, supatmanaha, kyach. Same thing we do anubandha lopaha, lashakvataditi halantyam tasya lopaha. Now tapas yagash dhatu sanya, sanadyanta dhatavaha. Now here tapas is not a nakarantam. This would have got the padasanya by suptingantam padam with the help of pratyaya lope pratyaya lakshanam. But nashche, Nashkye limits the authority of Suptingantam Padam. It says that when Kya, which is Kyach or Kyang follows, then only Nakarantam will get Padasanya, others will not. So tapas is not Nakarantam, ending as Sakaraha. So tapas does not get the Padasanya. So we cannot use Sasajusho Ruhu. Sasajusho Ruhu is only if it's a Padanta Sakaraha. So therefore now you understand the importance of Nashkye. The importance of Nashkye is to prevent the Padasanya in cases like tapasya. We don't want Sasajushoruhu to be coming here. So this tapas does not get Padasanya. It's not Nakarantam. So 1,415 comes and blocks, comes and limits 1,414, says 1,414 will not apply here, does not apply here. Because 1,415 limits it. Because this tapas does not end in Nakaraha. So no Padasanya means no Sasajushoruhu will just get the. Of course, takes look as usual because of supo dhatu pradipatikayoho pratyas looks to lupaha, we get tapasyati. Same thing, atmanaha vacham ichchati. Here also vach plus do the usual steps again, we add kyach, etc. Vach does not get the padasanya because it's not nakarantam, it's chakarantam. If it had the padasanya, what would have happened? We'd have had to use chohokuhu. Chohokuhu would have come. But nashkye comes and limits, says that nantam eva nanyat. So nashkye says that nothing else gets the padasanya when kach or kyang follows except a nakarantam. Vach is not nakarantam, it doesn't get the padasanya. So we cannot apply chohokuhu, it just becomes vachyati. Now the next sutra which we're looking at is also going to be an easy connection, because recall the sutram 6449 very briefly. 6449, we studied in the prior class, we studied 6449, yasya halaha. In fact, even before that, recall the sutram ato lopaha, which we use all the time, isn't it? 6448. 6448 says that a akarantam angam takes lopaha ardhadhatuke. Very simple sutram which we use all the time. Ato lopaha. Below that, last time we studied yasya halaha. Yasya halaha. What was that saying? Yasya halaha. It says that halaf parasya ya shabdasya lopaha ardhadhatuke. Now 6450 comes and says kyasya vibhasha. If the pratyaya kya, so if this ya is referring to the pratyaya kya, now kya means again kyach or kyang, then this yasya hala will apply only optionally. There will be only vibhasha, lopa only vibhasha. Let's look at an example here. So kyasya vibhasha is a simple extension of yasya halaha. So if you want to refresh your memory, look at yasya halaha which is shown in the prior class. If that ya happens to be a kyach or a kyang, then this lopa is only vibhasha. So very simply speaking, 6449, when you apply 6449, if that ya is kyach or kyang, then the lopaha is only vibhasha, only optional. So kyasya vibhasha. So always kyasya vibhasha. Always make the connections, please. So otherwise, if you study in a vacuum, it'll be very confusing. What is kyasya vibhasha? If you just make the connection in the Ashtadhyayi, one thing in this class, we always keep track of the Ashtadhyayi. That is the Mula Shastra. Those are the words of Panini. He has a reason to compose Ashtadhyayi the way that he has done it. So if you don't look at a sutram in a vacuum, it'll be very confusing and unnecessarily make it difficult on yourself. If you have studied Yasya Halaha, which we know very well, then it's very simple extension to Kyasya Vibhasha. All it is saying is that if this year happens to be a kyach or kyang, then the lopaha is only optional. That's all it says. So let's look at the vritti here. It says that halaf parayoho kyach kyangyoho. Remember we already discussed that the kya refers to kyach and kyang. Kyach kyangoho lopo va ardhadhatuke. Preceded by a consonant, the app is kya or kyang takes lopaha only optionally when followed by a which is ardhadhatukam. Now, this lopaha does not take place of the entire year, but not even the alavantyasya by adef parasya, because he's saying halaf parayoho. So following a hal, when you have a panchami vidhanam, when an adesha is done using a panchami vidhana, means it says halah parasya. So like an arrow pointing from the left hand side. So following a hal. So when we talk about an adesha, we always look at these 4 rules, don't we? We look at alontyasya, nichya, adesh parasya, anekachi sarvasya. Right now we're talking about a lopaha. It is lopaha of a term which is following a hal. So parasya lopaha, parasya sthane lopaha. When you say parasya, it is always adehe, the beginning letters. The same things that we did last time in the class with yasya halaha. The same logic here also. Since we are saying halaha is a panchami, so halaha parasya. So do lopa of the term following the hal. It will be adesh parasya. 1154. Only the adi, only the beginning letter will take lopaha. In this case, the yakaraha. So not the entire sanghataha, not the entire year, but just the adi yakara will takes lopaha. So let's look at an example here. Is that atmanaha vacham eshishyati. Let's look at the future tense. So we use the same dhatu vachya which we just derived here. Vachya. We did atmanaha vacham ichhati. That is vachya we got. We vach added kyach, we got vachya. The vach did not get padasanya because nashya limited suptingantam padam. So we got vachya. Now let's take the same vachya. Instead of taking a lat lakaraha, let's use rit lakaraha. Rit lakaraha. So now this lopa is optional now. Optional. So let's look at the lopa pakshe when we do the lopaha. So let's take vachya plus rit, the future tense. So anubandha lope la, then because there's no nimittam for atmane padam, we use parasya padam to pratya tip, and then we use halantyam tasya lopaha, then syata sil r lutoho, sya pratyakam. Nothing special so far. Then we get the idagamaha, because vachya is anekash dhatu. There's no question of ekach upadeshanudatta because it's only ekacha. So there's no in nishedha. In nishedha by 7 to 10 is only if it's a ekach dhatu. This is anekacha. So the idagamaha nirbadha. There's nothing to stop it. So we get it sya by ardhadhatukasya valadehe adyantav takitav. And halantyam tasya lopaha. Now what happens is that we do have a hal. Following that you have a year. That year is the affix sketch. So now, and following that we have isya, which is sanya of ardhadhatukam because of ardhadhatukam shesha. So all the conditions for applying the kyasya vibhasha are applying here. So let's take the conditions. Halaf parayoho, kyachkyangyoho, lopaha va vardhadhatuke, vardhadhatuke. So we have vachya plus isya. Chakara is a hal. Following that we have ya, which is the catch. Following that we have pratyaya sanya of ardhadhatukam. So now we're going to get the kyasya vibhasha, a optional elision of the yakara by adef parasya. Adef parasya, only the yakara which is following the hal will take lopaha only optionally. So we get vach isyati. Now we get ato lopaha by 6448, and we get vachishyati. So we get this akar lopa. Vachishyati, of course, by adeshipateyo, vachishyati. This lopa is optional. When we don't do lopaha, lopa bhava pakshe, then what happens is that we just get ato lopaha only. We get vachishyati, vachishyati. So we have two forms. Vachishyati, when yakar lopaha by adef parasya, and then ato lopaha. We get vachishyati, vachishyati. So when we don't get the yakar lopaha, we get vachishyati. So one more time, kyasya vibhasha is simply saying that 6449, which was yasya halaha, if that year happens to be the year which is kech or kyang, then only vibhasha lopaha. So we had the dhatu vachya. When we use lut, why are we taking lut? Because this is only ardhadhatuke. When we get lut, there will be no ardhadhatuke. So that's why we're taking lut. So when we add lit and then we get sata, in usual steps, we get sata, si, lito. For this here takes the idagamaha. It has the sanya of ardhatukam shesha. And we have vach year. So the chakara is a hal, following that you have a year shabda, year which is kyach in this case, that will take lopa optionally by adef parasya. The adi yakara takes lopa optionally. Then we get two forms, vachi shyati and vachyashyati when lopa is not done. Okay, now let's continue with 318. I know time is short. If you can give me a few minutes, I can give you a better flavor of this namadhatu prakriya. So let's take a few minutes with your permission. Is when we 318 we studied just now. So please keep a track. Now from now on, we have to keep a track of in which meaning is the pratyaya coming. In which meaning is the pratyaya coming? 318 says supa atmanaha kyacha. When you desire something for oneself, that's supa atmanaha kyacha. Supa atmanaha kyacha. Now 319 simply says kamyacha. Very simple sutra. The same conditions as 318. Instead of using kyach, we use kamyach. So very simple, very, very simple sutram. It says that Ishikarmanaha eshitu sambandhina, all the same thing that we had in 318, the same vritti basically. Instead of saying kyach, we are going to use kamyach. That's all. Very simple extension of 318, which is saying that in the same condition, desiring something for yourself, use the pratyaya kamyach. Ishikarmanaha eshitu sambandhinaha sumantad ichchaya marte kamyach syat. And of course, the anuvritti of va is coming all the way down. So pakshe vakyam. Pakshe vakyam. So this is exactly the same as 318. The pratyaya is kamyach instead of kyach. So the affix kamyach is also employed in addition to kyach. Kamyach is also employed in the sense of wishing after a padam which ends in a sup affix and denotes the object of one's own wish. So now we say atmanaha putram ichchati. Same steps we get putra but instead of using kyach we use kamyach by 319. Same thing again, this entire thing gets dhatu sanya vasanadhyanta dhatavaha. Then the kakara in one thing here, the kakara in kamyach is not an it because prayojana bhavat. Prayojanasya abhavat. There is no prayojanam for making kakara as an it in kamyach. This is one little point to remember. In kamyach, the adi kakara which would have been a it by lashakvatadyate, this doesn't happen because there's no prayojanam for that. Every it has to have prayojanam. There should be some use, like we discussed in detail, why the kakara is it in kyach. Here in kamyach, that kakara will not serve any purpose as an it. So prayojana bhavat, kakaras it sanyana. So in spite of lashakvatadyate, the kakara kamyach does not get the it sanya. Otherwise, everything is same. We get putra kamya, putra kamyati. So remember that we don't get putri kamyati because that was only kyachicha. The ikara was only kyachicha. So there's no question of making the ikara. That's only kyachicha. Okay. So we simply just get putra kamyati. Now this is one form which is seen in Bhagavad Gita, by the way. One form seen in Bhagavad Gita is pratyaya kyacha, which is that hita kamyaya, vaksham hita kamyaya. Name vidusurakanaha prabhavanna maharshayaha amadirhi bhutana maharshinancha sarvashaha. So hita kamyaya comes in Gita. Hita kamyaya. Here it is in 10.1. Hita kamya. Hita kamya. Then we form a feminine noun hita kamya by apratyayat. So just like we form word like chikirsha, pipasa, etc. Same thing we can form a feminine noun. Hita, so we first from hita kamya as a dhatu, as a kamyajanta dhatu, and then after that we use apratyaya to form hita kamya. And we'll give this example, we'll post this example, but here in Bhagavad Gita we have the pratyaya kamyach, hita kamyaya. Aham adirhi devanam. Yeah. So name vidusurakana. Aham adirhi devanam. Maharshinam cha sarvasha. Okay. So hita kamya as it comes in Gita. So here just putra kamya plus that putra kamyati. Okay. Now keep a track of the meaning of these affixes. Okay. That's a difficult thing now. So far we have seen only one meaning. Desiring something for oneself. We have seen two affixes for that. Kyach and kamyach. The question is that why did Panini not put both of these in one sutram? Why did he first give Kyach, then give Kamyach by the next sutram? Because he wants anuvritti of Kamyach to come down to the next sutram, which is this one, Upamanadachare. Upamanadachare. So this is only Kamyach, not Kyach. So here we first, by 318, Panini introduces Kyach in Supa Atmanaha Kyach. Then next thing that Panini says is Kamyach. He did not combine these two together because he wants to take anuvritti of Kamyach only the next sutram. If he had combined these into one, then he could not have taken the anuvritti of Kamyach only in the next sutram. That's why he splits them. So Kamyach is used in Supa Atmanaha Kyach, Supa Atmanaha, as well as in next sutram. Upamana. So Kamyach is used in two senses, in the sense of 318 and 3110. While Kyach is used only 318. So one more time. Desiring something for oneself, you can use Kyach as well as Kamyach. But Kamyach is used in one more meaning. Upamanadachare. Upamanadachare. Upamanadachare says that Upamanat karmanaha. Again, Subantad, anuvritti of Supaha. Subantad acharya arthe Kyach. So when you treat somebody like someone. So when you treat someone like your mother, someone like your son. So upamanad. So when we treat someone like your son, the son is the upamanam. He is the standard of comparison. You're treating somebody like your son. So the son is the standard of comparison. So that putra will take the pratyaya kamyach, in the sense of treating somebody like a son. So he says that the artist Kyach is employed in the sense of conduct or treatment. After a padam, supaha, which ends in a suffix and denotes an object, there is a standard of comparison. So you're treating someone, and that treating is being compared to treating like a son. So the son is a standard of comparison. He is the upamanam. You're treating someone like you treat your son. So and again, in all this anuvritti of Va is coming down, as we already discussed, from 317 to 3122, Va goes down. So pakshe vakyam, you can also use a vakyam. So putram iva acharati putriyati shishyam. So guruho shishyam putriyati. A teacher treats his disciple like his own son, like his own son. So treating somebody like someone, that comparison like someone, that someone will take the pratyaya kamyach. So now I put a note over here that the I'm sorry, this is wrong. The pratyaya is kyach, subanta upamanadachare kyach. Okay, I take it back. I take it back. This is not the pratyaya kamyach. Kyach pratyaya bhavati, not kamyach. Okay. So, alright. So make a correction, please. It is not kamyach, but it is the kyach pratyaya. It is not. So I was half correct, half wrong. Alright. Let me go back for a second, make this correction. See, it always helps to look at the vritti, doesn't it? See, I just made a mistake right now of saying the wrong pratyaya in the sutra. But how to catch that mistake? Look at the vritti. What the vritti says? Upamanat karmanaha subantad acharya arthe kyach. So not kamyach but kyach. So please make the correction. I'm sorry for that. Is that the kyach comes into this sutra upamanad acharya, not kamyach. Not so. One more time. So Panini split this sutram supa atmanaha kyach from kamyach. That is correct, because both kyach and kamyach are used in supa atmanaha. But in the next sutra, upamanad acharya, not kamyach, but kyach comes down here into upamanad acharya. So one more time, please correct my mistake. I just said the wrong thing a few minutes ago. Is that the upamanad acharya is using the pratyaya kyach, not kamyach, not kamyach. So one last time, this Panini split up these two rules. Supa atmanaha kyach, kamyach. Because even though kyach and kamyach both apply in the sense of supam supatmanaha, he didn't combine those two rules. Why? Because he wants to include only one of them, upamanad achare. And that is not kamyach. It is kyach. Is upamanad achare. Upamanad achare. The pratyah kyach comes here. So okay. So kyaj anuvartate na kamyach. In fact, the Kashika, if you look at the Kashika on 318, just to quickly finish this point, if you look at the Kashika on 318, is that it says 318 is sorry 310. I'm sorry. Pumanadachare. Pumanadachare says kyach anuvartate na kamyach. So this is a bit of a strange thing. So one last time is that in 3110, the pratyaya to be used is kyach, not kamyach. So yes, Pani split these two into two rules, but the one he wants to take into Upamad Acharya is the kyach, not kamyach. So please make the correction. So now what we have is that Upamanat Karmanaha Subantad Acharya Arte kyach. The kyach is employed in the sense of conduct or treatment after a padam which ends in a sup and denotes an object which is a standard of comparison. So, and then of course we can have the vakyam, pakshe vakyam. So, putramiva acharati, putriyati shishyam. Now, this navadhatu putriya, derived using the Sutram 3110, is the same form as we got from 318. The putriya form is the same, putriyati. But the meaning of this kyach is different. This is called the achara kyach. Achara kyach. This is upamanad achare. While the one in 318 is called the ichcha kyach. Ichcha kyach and achara kyach. Two different things. So be very careful here. That's why I said keep track of the meanings. Because these two rules, 318 and 3110, will both give the form putriyati, putriyati. But in one case, putriyati means atmana putram ichchati. He wants a son for himself. In the next case, putriyati means putram iva acharati. He treats someone like his son. So even the same form putriya gives two different meanings depending on the context now. So that's why I said keep track of these meanings. The same kyach is two different meanings. Is supaatmanaha is ichchayam atva upamanad achare. So one is called the achara kyach. Putramiva acharati putriyati. That's the achara kyach. Other one is the ichcha kyach. Is atmanaha putram ichchati. So same form by 318 and by 3110. But 318 will give atmanaha putram ichchati. 3110 putramiva acharati. Different meaning. Different meaning, same form. Now here is the same thing. We derived the same putra plus the same steps. We add kyach and then same anubandha lopaha. Entire thing is dhatu sanya, and then supo dhatu pradvidikayoho. The takes look, and then we do kyachicha putriya, and we get putriyati. Now same thing if we take the pradvidika matra. We treat someone like your mother. Treat someone like your mother. But you get matram iva acharati matriyati parakalatram. Someone treats somebody else's wife like his mother. So treating somebody else's wife like your mother. So mataram iva acharati parakalatram means matriyati parakalatram. So similar steps, you take matra plus you're treating someone like someone, so you still the object of the treatment. So matra plus then we get matra plus kyach by this upamanadachare. Add the kyach pratyaya, then we get we leave it like that. Then we get putra ya because of anubandha lopaha. Then this not putra but matru, excuse me. Matru plus kyach upamanadachare. Then anubandha lopaha. The matru ya gets dhatu sanya sanadyanta dhatavaha. Matru ya because takes supluk by supo dhatu pradvidikayoho. And now recall our sutram ringataha. 7427. Ring Ritaha. Ring Ritaha, which we have seen in previous class, we get a chance to use on our old rules. Now it says Akridyakare. असर्वधातुके यकारे च्वौ च परे रुदन्ताङ्गस्य ringadeshah. So if angam ends the rikara like matru, it takes the ringadesha. Ring means again nicha. It will replace only the entire ending letter. Ring is a anekaj. Anubandha lope ri. It's a anekaladesha. Anekaladesha. So normally by anekaj is sarvas, it replaces the entire angam. But nicha, because that ring has nakara as an it replaces only the ending letter. So remember this section about 7.4 in 7.4 we start with 7.4.25, which is the akrit sarvadhatukayoho dirgha. So akrit anuvritya is coming down, akrit sarvadhatukayoho. And then ring ritaha says if you have a rikarantamangam followed by yakaraha, which does not belong to a krit pratyaha and does not belong to a sarvadhatuka pratyaha, then the rikarantamangam takes the ringadesha. And normally we would have had anekashi sarvasya 155, but nicha says that replace only the ending letter. So we have matru plus ya. This yakara does not belong to krut pratyaha. Krut only starts from 3193, kruta thing. Right now we are using 3110, upamanadachare. And this also does not have a sanya of sarvatukam because of ting shit sarvatukam. This is not a sarvadhatuka yakaraha. It is not a krit yakaraha. So this will now get the matru gets the ringadeshaha by nicha. Only the ending rikara becomes ri alubandha lope. Halantyam tasya lopaha becomes matriya. So matriyati. So Parakalatram matriyati. Okay, time is getting up. Give me just 2 minutes and we'll wrap up today's class. So, this upamanadachare is used when you treat someone like someone else. That comparison, the standard of comparison takes this kech pratyaya. The same kech pratyaya is 318, in the sense of achare. Okay, now this small vartikam here is that adhikarana chiti vaktavyam. This extends 3110. 3110 was saying when you treat someone like someone else. But here it's adhikarana, so which means that you behave somewhere like you behave somewhere else. So this is in a location, not treating someone, but behaving in a certain place like you behave in another place. So for example, the yapis sketch is also employed in the sense of conduct after a padam, so supaha, ends in a suffix, denotes a location. That is a standard of comparison. So, and of course, when you don't use the pratyaya, you can use the vakyam. So, prasadiyati kutyam bhikshu. A bhikshu, mendicant, behaves in a hut, kutyam, like he would behave in a palace. So, prasadiyati, as if it is a palace. So this bhikshu, because he has vairagyam, so he behaves in a hut like as if it is a palace, as if he's in a palace. So prasadiyati kutyam bhikshu. So this is not, he's not treating the hut like a palace. He's behaving in the hut like he would, as if he is in a palace, as if he is in a palace. So it's a small vartikam. It is adhikaranat, because here we had it's not karmanaha. It is adhikarana, because 3110 is only says upamanat karmanaha. The vartikam extend that to adhikaranat chiti vaktavyam. So you behave, so he behaves in a hut as if he is in a palace. So all the steps are the same, like putriyati prasadiyati kutyam. Okay, time is up. Last sutram for today. Kartu kyang salopascha. Very nice sutram. Remember this meaning now. This is the same. Now the apis kyang is starting. This goes from 3111 to 3118. So this is the last sutram for today. So 3111, 3118. We'll continue next time with this one. From 3111 starts the kyang to 3118. Kartuhu kyang salopasya. No, kartuhu. Notice the kartuhu. This is no longer talking about the object of So this is now talking the doer himself. So kartuh kyang salopascha says anuvritti upamana is coming down from Prayasutram 3.1.10. So upamanat, but kartuh subantad achare kyang vasya. So basic anuvritti is coming down of upamanat and also of the supaha that's coming. And so upamanad achare supaha, but kartuh. And a new pratyaya kyang is being introduced now. Kyang, not kyach plus kyang. So what it says, when someone acts like someone, when someone acts like someone, so upamanat kartuh, subantad achare kyang vasyat. Of course, vam is paksha vakyam. And one more thing, salopascha. Santasya tu kartruvachakasya lopo vasyat. If it is sakarantam, then pradipadikam, then that will take lopa, that takes lopa optionally. So in the affix kyang is employed in the sense of conduct or treatment after a padam which ends in a supaffix and denotes an agent. Notice an agent. Okay, that's important. Kartuh. So there's a shift now. The prior sutram had karmana. This is kartuh. That is still we have the same condition, the standard of comparison, which is comparison for the agent, not for the object. In addition, the ending sakara, this is the additional operation, the ending sakara of the pradipadikam denoting the agent is elided optionally. Okay, so so it says santasya kartruvachakasya lopo vasyat. So in addition, ending sakara is elided. I should put here optionally. Option is to a quick example and then stop. It says that in the, and of course when we can use a vakyam also if we don't use a pratyaya. So shena iva acharati, shena ivacharati, shenayate. Someone behaves like a hawk. Shenayate. So shena, so he himself behaves like a hawk, not treating someone else, but he's behaving himself like a hawk. So shena plus su, because now we add su, not We're talking about the agent himself, not the object, but the agent. So we prathama vibhakti with su. Then shena su plus kyang, because kartuh kyang salopascha. So we use kyang and not kyach. But this is kartuh. So one is acting like himself, acting like a hawk. Otherwise steps are similar. Anumanda lopaha, shakvatadite halantam tasya lopaha. And then we get dhatu sanyasanadhyanta dhatavaha, supo dhatu pradivitikayoho. And now we get shenaya akrit sarvadhatikayoho dirgha. This yakaraha is not of a krit pratyaha, it's not a sarvatika pratyaha. Akrit sarvadhatikayoho dirgha. So we use 7.4.25. Remember, the sutram kyachicha does not apply here because that is only for the pratyaya kyach, not for kyang. So kyachicha does not apply. It's only for kyach, not for kyang. So we only have to use akrit sarvadhatikayoho dirgha and not kyachicha. Kyachicha is only for kyach. We are using kyang right now. Because shenayate. Shenaya we got. Now the kyang has the kavarga panchamang ngakara as an it. Ngakara as an it. So we get shenaya. Dhatu sanya sanadhyanta dhatava already. We got over sanadhyanta dhatavaha. And we add lat. Now we have to use atmanepadam because the kyang is a nit. So nidantatvat atmanepadam because anudatta nita atmanepadam. So we get shenaya. Again we begin shap, alumanda lopaha, ato gune. We get shenayate, not shenayati. So that's how we know kyang has been used. You understand? Difference between kyach and kyang. In kyang we have to use atmanepadam. While the kyach, when it is there, we use sheshat kriti parasyapadam. So shenayate. Now one last wrinkle to this sakara lopa is that this is a vyavasthita vibhasha. Sakar lopa doesn't take optionally every time. There is some vyavastha, what's called a vyavasthita vibhasha. Within the optionality, there is some order to it. It's called vyavasthita vibhasha. So it says that this Vartikam says that ojaso apsaraso nityam itaresham vibhashaya. So sakara of ojas and apsaras, it drops essentially, it drops all the time. While for others it drops only optionally. So this vibhasha is what is called as a vyavasthita vibhasha. There is some order to it. And the order is that for this sakara of ojas and apsaras drops nityam, takes nitya lopaha. And then remaining take vibhashaya. So if we take So the sakar lopa elision mandated by 3.1.11 takes place necessarily in the case of ojas and apsaras and only optionally in other cases. So he says apsara iva acharati. Someone behaves like an apsaraha. This apsaras pratipadikam apsaras. The pratama ekvachanam is apsaraha by the sutram atvasantasya chadhato. So this is, so when you take apsaras, the pratama ekvachanam is apsaraha. Apsaraha, that's because of the sutram 6-4 atvasantasya chadhato. Like chandramas becomes chandramaha. So apsaras become apsaraha iva acharati. Apsara iva acharati. When you take apsaras and add su, because we're talking about the agent now, kartuh. So add pratyaya kyang, because the same sutram kartuh kyang salopascha, and we go to the usual steps. Now what happens is that apsaras takes a sakar lopa optional, no, necessarily nityam. For ojas and apsaras it is nityam. So apsaras will take sakar lopa nityam, and then we get same thing, we get apsarayate, similar steps as in shenayate. But if we take a word like vidvas, vidvan iva acharati, then the sakar lopa will be only optional, because this is not apsaras or ojas. So we get two forms. We get vidvayate when we get sakar lopa, same steps as apsarayate, or we get vidvasyate when no sakar lopa. So this vartikam, it puts some order in the sakar lopaha, the vibhasha, which is that the sakara beyond ojas and apsaras takes lopaha nityam when we use the pratyaya kyang by this sutram. And any other term ending a sakara will take only optionally. So we get the form apsarayate, only one form. Someone behaves like an apsara. While someone behaves like a scholar, we get vidvayate in the case of sakar lopa, or vidvasyate in the case of no sakar lopa, because vibhashaya. One more thing, vidvasyate, same thing, because vidvasyate, here is the again, because the pratyaya kyang is being used here, that vidvas did not get the padasanya, because suptingantam padam, but nashtye, just like we had this one, same thing when we had here, back here when we did the nashtye, when we did the tapasyati when we did over here. Same reasoning. Of course, that time we had used the kyach pratyaya, but same thing, we get vidvasyate. So that vidvas does not get the padasanya because of nashtye. Nashtye stops the padasanya, which would have got by supting, because we had vidvas plus su. So by pratyalavi pratyalakshanam suptingantam padam, vidvas will get padasanya. It doesn't get padasanya because of nashtye stops it. It's not nakarantam. So we don't use safsajushoru. We get vidvasyate. Let's stop with that. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vihata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Paranam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhotame Bhorama Mamudhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane Sri Rama Nama Varanana Unnamurti. Next class on August 11th, please. August 11th, next class. And sorry for the overtime. Next class will be on August 11th. Thank you, Ravi.
Okay, Satish.
Thank you, Ravi. Shubharati.